30 seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Can run the 40 faster than Tom Brady. He got a perfect score on the Wonderlic. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Wow, what a barn burner we had last night. No, defensive battle is what they call it. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. 12-10 the score last night between the Bears and the Vikings. And listen, Bears defense is the headline here. They forced Josh Dobbs and the Vikings offense into 4 turnovers, a lot of deflections on those four interceptions, Perloff, but
that's a generous read, by the way, saying that's the Bears' defense. Well, how do you know? It's hard to tell. Was it incompetent offense on both sides or great defense on both sides?
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Is the answer. Yes. But, to me, the really bigger takeaway from this, and I know that the Bears won the game. They moved to 4-8. But to me, really, is this audition for Justin Fields, I think, is probably over. And not probably. It's over. And unfortunately for him, he has definitely made strides here, right? Like the pass to DJ Moore at the end of the game, you see those kind of flashes. There's moments where he's escaping the pocket last night, a design run that was really nice, and a gotta have it third down. There are these moments where Justin Fields looks really great. I just don't think there are enough of those moments strung together where the brass for the Chicago Bears, if they have that number 1 pick from the Carolina Panthers, or 2, or 3, or 4, is going to say Justin Fields has done enough to win this job, where we pick up the 5th-year option, where we now are going to have to start thinking about paying this guy. I just don't see a world where that happens. So unfortunately for Fields, I'm not saying that his career in the NFL is over. I think his career with the Bears is over.
Yeah, I disagree with one aspect of that. I think he's not played well enough to keep the job if the Bears have 1 or 2. But if they have 3 or 4, then it's a completely different conversation. You're saying they're going to give up on Justin Fields, who has at least some cost containment next year. 20, what is it?
The 5th-year option's about 20, I think around $20 million
for the Bears. They have no one else. Look at the Bears roster. They have no one else to spend that money on. So they might as well give him that. You're telling me they're going to give up on Justin Fields for the 4th quarterback in the draft? That's a much different conversation. Definitely not good enough to keep the job over a Caleb Williams or a Drake May. I agree with you there. But at a certain point, this is a formula for the Bears. They have to see where that Panthers pick lands. And the most significant thing that happened to the Bears yesterday was not that win, but was the Panthers firing Frank Reich.
I know.
What if they get an interim bump and the Bears don't end up, this fantasy of them having the 1 pick and the 6th pick or whatever is definitely not going to happen because they're winning too many games. They're pushing their own pick back. So I'm not 100% giving up on Justin Fields. In that scenario, if the Panthers pick, which the Bears have, falls to 4, you're so sure that the 4th pick is better than Justin Fields?
I think that I'm playing the process here. And the process is, this is what GMs will do. This is the lie they will tell themselves. And again, this is a new GM that did not select Justin Fields in the draft. They will tell themselves, we're not going to be picking this high again if we get the quarterback right. And I think this is a deep enough quarterback draft. I'm not going to tell you that a guy coming out of college right now is better than Justin Fields right now, but nor should they be. Fields has got a 3-year start. But the thing is, a head start. But the thing is you got to play the process, which is, this is a Bears team that can afford to start over with a rookie that could have a higher ceiling than Justin Fields. And, this is one thing that Troy Aikman said last night. By the way, Troy was on one. Was he taking edible before the game? Why were they giggling so much? I don't
just
know.
Having a good time. 2 friends watching football. Sure. That's what
right.
By the way, that was the best part of the night in this terrible game with how relaxed and funny Joe and Troy were.
Oh my gosh. At one point I was like, are they high? But anyway, I don't think they are. But anyway, I think that what he's saying is at some point in the NFL, you are going to have to stand in the pocket and make a throw to win games and to win games at a high level. And we're 3 years into Justin Fields, and that happens like twice a game.
Well, it actually happened last night, ironically.
That one pass to DJ Moore.
So,
the one pass.
he actually
when
did
Minnesota
what you were describing.
decided to play back and basically play this soft defense after they had just been harassing Fields all night.
Yeah, I mean, what really killed Fields last night was 2 fumbles. That's a bad sign. But they kind of saved his running till the last drive, and he was effective there. He doesn't have a head start on much of a head start on Michael Penix or Bo Nix. Those guys all came up around the same time. They're probably an Elite 11 together. Fields is 24, and these older quarterbacks, you're not looking.
I'm in a head start of the NFL.
I know what you're saying, but I'm saying the third or fourth quarterback is not such a no-brainer over Justin Fields. Yes, Caleb Williams and probably Drake May are. But if you get the third quarterback in a class, that could be Trey Lance or Zach Wilson. You never know. Okay. I just think that there is going to be at least a case for Justin Fields if they don't have the number 1 pick. Okay. And I think you and I disagree on that.
Well, that's where we definitely disagree. I think they are 100% taking a quarterback, starting over with a different head coach. I would not do the Caleb Williams, Lincoln Riley thing. Don't do that, Bears. Don't do that. But I think, have we seen is there a ceiling here with Justin Fields, or are we approaching the ceiling? Where if it is the third pick or the fourth pick, I'm looking at Jaden Daniels and thinking, man, could that ceiling be much, much higher or something like that?
Yeah, I think if you're an NFL coach, it might be more complicated than that because you're going to pick apart the prospect. Caleb Williams, forget it. It's over. If Caleb Williams is there and the Bears don't take him, I think there'd be a revolt in Chicago.
There might be, but, there is like a little bit of a not controversy, but there is a question brewing about Caleb Williams versus Drake May. I mean, listen, in terms of win-losses, both of their teams have not been excellent this year, right? USC was a disappointment in terms of win-losses. North Carolina is, not a great team. I think both have 5 losses this year, right? So before 4 or 5 losses, but there is like a little bit of a could Drake May jump Caleb Williams here? I don't see it right now, but that's out there.
It's out there for people who need people to click on their mock drafts.
Is that what that is?
I have no idea, but I doubt it's out there in NFL circles. Maybe I'm sure because Drake May is a North Carolina quarterback. That's a death spot. That's Trubisky.
Yeah, because the USC QBs have been killing it lately.
Well, at least there's been some success. I mean, at least Carson Palmer was good.
That was in the year 2003.
Well, I mean, Caleb Williams doesn't really he's technically a USC quarterback, but he doesn't fit into that mold. Anyway, I'd be shocked. I so flabbergasted when I open a mock draft and it has Drake May 1 and Caleb Williams 2. And if I'm a team at 2, I would be so happy.
Well, either way, to me, the Bears, whether it's the number 1 pick from Carolina, 2, 3, 4, say the Panthers do get a new coach bump here and they rattle off a couple games, I still think they are starting over with a quarterback. You have not seen enough from Fields, and we're now 2.5 seasons through this thing. I know he had a thumb injury that kept him out for 4 games. I'm not saying this is fair. I'm not saying it's right. Clearly, the Bears organization has had some issues. They had to fire the defensive coordinator earlier in the season. Matt Eberflus, great defensive guy, but is he a head coach in the NFL? No. So it's not like it's been so easy for Fields, but at the same time, I think there is like a it when you see it. And unless he ends up being like a late bloomer somewhere else and someone really puts the whole thing and makes it all about him like the Ravens did with Lamar Jackson a couple years ago, I just don't see it for Fields. So I think they're going to start over.
We'll see. We'll see. I mean, you got to have the Panthers lose these games, and the Panthers have a lot of Falcons on their schedule coming up. They can easily find a way to win
every week. But again, big win last night. Sure, 12-10, and the Josh Dobbs, unfortunately. Listen, some of those picks not his fault. You had Jalen Johnson might be like, is he the best corner in the league? He was amazing, super disruptive.
Got to stop dropping those pick sixes, though. Troy's jumping all over him.
Yeah, Troy is not a fan, but is a fan, but not of him not being able to run back the pick sixes. But the Bears defense was swarming, and I think Dobbs is going to hang on to the job. But clearly, there's a reason why he's not a starter in the league. He was throwing into traffic, and it really hurt him.
Well, there's two things to defend Josh Dobbs. He's only been there a few weeks. It's not like he has that offense mastered. I know we called him a rocket scientist. Second of all, the line was awful last night.
Yes,
how much time did Josh Dobbs have? Do you think Nick Mullins is going to have a better chance there, or Jaron Hall, or whoever they throw? They really had a trouble blocking the Bears yesterday. I was surprised how much pressure Dobbs was on.
And maybe if Justin Jefferson's in that game, maybe it looks a lot better to have Addison and Jefferson. Addison's been excellent this season.
Yeah, except when he ran out of bounds on that long pass.
It was an amazing pass, and he was out of bounds by 4 feet.
But because Josh Dobbs threw it, thought there'd be a defender there, and Addison if he had just kept his feet in bounds, whatever. I'm not even going to start because I defend Josh Dobbs. I thought a lot of that was on the whole team and not him.
855-212-4CBS. EJ, you're shaking your head.
I think Josh Dobbs deserves the blame for that throw to Jordan Addison. Give me a break. You got to
it was out of bounds.
You got to give him a chance to catch the ball.
But you got to if you're Jordan Addison, you got to give your quarterback. What was he doing? He just sort of did a pirouette. You got to know where the sideline is. That's a number one job of a wide receiver.
Right, but the ball was out of bounds.
Yeah, but he could have kept his feet in and at least tried to make a play.
I don't know if he could have. I think it was pretty far out.
That ball was in the white. That was not like, it was,
it's not a toe drag situation.
I love the astronaut, but come on. You got to get that ball, give him a chance.
At least he could have tried to make a play. And honestly, he actually could have made a play if he was
tried. To me, that's on Dobbs. The corner falls down. I know he threw it anticipating maybe there would be some guys over there, but even if the corner was there, I still think that's an impossible catch.
The corner was upright when he threw it. He had no idea that the guy was going to be wide open. He was still on him. Listen, Troy Aikman said the same thing. That's partly on whenever the receiver does a pirouette and can't have any idea where he is. That's a bad sign.
I think he might have lost the ball in the light too. I do think
that definitely could have happened.
Yes, I do think that Justin Fields. I don't know if it's completely done, only because you do have these top picks, and if you're in a situation as Perloff was mentioning where you don't have a number one pick, the idea that you could maybe get 2 premier offensive players in this draft for a Bears team that doesn't have a lot. I know Fields wasn't fantastic, but he did have some good moments. We do see his ability to run the football. Right. I don't know if you get him a Marvin Harrison Jr. and another premier offensive lineman. Does that not look like a pretty decent offense? I'd like to see what he could do with something like that.
That's what I'm talking about.
I'm telling you, listen, Marvin Harrison Jr. I feel like there's never been more pressure on a wide receiver coming into the league to save a bad quarterback or save a mediocre quarterback. It's like, we got a mediocre quarterback. It's fine. We'll just give Marvin Harrison, and now he's going to turn into Joe Montana.
I think you're even saying that you're underestimating Marvin Harrison.
I love Marvin Harrison. He's amazing. But again, you're asking a lot here for him to bring the Bears offense up to relevance.
I actually think Marvin Harrison is going to make a play for that number 2 pick over Drake May. I think he is. I've not seen, maybe Calvin Johnson. That's the best wide receiver.
That's what I was thinking too.
Yeah, I think he is definitely a quarterback fixer. He's an everything fixer. If Chicago, you give that, you don't even need to be accurate. Kyle McCord throws it 5 feet behind him. He's ridiculous. I think there is definitely an argument, and I think Arizona's going to have the same issue, right? They're going to be high in the draft. Do they start over with Kyler Murray, or do they try?
They already paid Murray, so I think it makes it a little bit tougher.
But they can get out in a year or two. So it's interesting. These bad teams are going to have interesting decisions. I don't think if they're the number 3 pick, they take another quarterback.
So Cousin Eddie's in the chat. You want to come on in, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio, twitch.tv/CBS Sports Radio. He says move down, still get a new quarterback as well as Harrison Jr.
I know. I have a friend who's a Patriots fan who gave me a long lecture. We're going to get Jaden Daniels at 27, and then we're going to get the wide receiver up high.
Because that's how the draft works with quarterbacks. We don't push these guys up to the top of the pile at all.
Yeah. A lot of people are eyeing those. We're going to get somebody amazing at 24 because that always works out.
855-212-4CBS. But listen, there are a lot. This is a deep draft, right?
It is, but we always say that too. And then I think a lot of these quarterback prospects, I'm starting to realize that maybe we overhyped this class.
Well, what we do though is this is how Daniel Jones and Dwayne Haskins and these guys get picked so high up in the first round, is because a team says, well, if I take them at 30, why don't I take them at 6? And that's like, if I'm just going to use a first round pick on them, but it's later in the first round, well, I might as well go and just get them at 6. because honestly, like the money's not going to be that much different.
This is a little bit of a weird class because the guys are so old, though.
Yeah.
I mean, some of them are entering the draft and nearing retirement simultaneously.
It's an AARP.
So Michael Penix and a Bo Nix are much different prospects, and I think teams are going to. I think right now we're hyping them up. They're great college players. I wouldn't be surprised if the older guys fell.
855-212-4CBS. Jeff is in Minnesota. Oh, Jeff, I have to imagine you are sick about the game last night. Good morning.
Well, good morning, Maggie. I tell you what, it was brutal.
Yeah.
It was absolutely
hard to watch.
Brutal. And I think it came down to one thing. One thing. Discipline. Which team is more disciplined? And I tell you what, when you have the Minnesota Vikings scoring a touchdown and performing a halftime show, that needs discipline. O'Connell needs to get that team disciplined. And who won that game last night was the team with the more discipline, and it was the Chicago Bears. We need to get back on track. Get these guys disciplined.
You're talking about, so only committed 4 penalties in this game to the Bears 7. When you're talking about discipline, you're talking about the post touchdown celebration? Or you're just talking about how they ran, how they were terrible on third down?
Yeah, they need to get disciplined. You know, Bud Grant, Tom Landry, them coaches are gone.
Yeah.
O'Connell needs to get that team back on track, stop early celebrating, and stop acting like a circus.
Oh, you think that they're unfocused, Jeff, I think is what you're getting at. Yeah.
Let's get back to the basics, man.
Yeah, Jeff, I'm with you. Listen, I'm not about the celebrations. I actually think that it goes the other way. I think you see coaches now want the team celebrating in this big kind of way, celebrating together. They don't mind the choreographed dances and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, I was curious, what was that about the halftime show? What did somebody perform at halftime?
No, I think he's saying
they put
after they scored the touchdown, it was like a really big.
Because Detroit had Jack Harlow, and that was not well received because he had such a terrible set during Thanksgiving. So and Minnesota's got all sorts of music options, and I'd like to. If there was a neat halftime show, that would have been the most entertaining part of last night's game.
I think there was some BMX bikers. Anyway, They were 2 for 9 on third down. We don't mean to kid, Jeff. We can tell that you're frustrated, but 2 for 9 on third down, I think was. And the 4 turnovers were the difference in this game clearly because the Minnesota defense played very well against Chicago.
Absolutely. You know, it's funny that Jeff is pointing out too. Kevin O'Connell, just the way he looks, is the opposite of Bud Grant and those old school or Marv Levy.
He's pretty boy.
He's a pretty boy who's very smiley. So I sometimes have some cognitive dissonance. Is this a tough guy coach? Can he have he does have a great defense because of Brian Flores, a really good defense. But I don't know, is he head coaching material? Because you look at him, you're like, oh, that's a quarterback coach. That's not a head coach. Although I think he has done a very good job. But you know what I'm saying? Surface-wise, he doesn't look like your old school coach.
No, but you don't want to judge a book by its cover either.
I know. I don't. But I think that's what I think there is. If the Vikings play sloppy, there's going to be people who wonder, oh, is this guy tough enough on his team?
Well,
because of the way he looks.
Okay, but aren't we old enough to remember last year when the Vikings were pulling out all these one-score wins? And we're like, what a tough team. What a mentally tough team. What a team that's able to perform. I mean, that turned out to be a little bit more maybe luck than skill.
Yeah, I don't remember anyone saying tough team. Everyone's saying, oh my God, that was the luckiest win ever. I don't think
they had that big comeback against Indianapolis last year.
Right. But I don't think people were saying, oh, Kevin O'Connell is so mentally tough. I think it's the pretty boy thing. And I love Kevin O'Connell. I think I've met him a couple times, very nice man. And he seems to be a really good coach. I think Flores was a great hire if that was his decision. Mm-hmm. But that being said, you know what I'm talking about. He just doesn't look like he's going to chew the team out after the game.
Who does anymore?
Bill Belichick.
Well, but Belichick's on the hot seat.
So you're saying the McVay, Shanahan's a new age coach, and he chews out everybody apparently.
I mean, I think it's your personality, and you also have to read the personality of your team, right? Like, does it help to chew this person out right now? Is it going to help Kevin O'Connell to say, stop the touchdown celebrations? Yeah. I don't know. No. I don't think that was the difference. I think the Chicago Bears defense, Minnesota had no answers. And the Josh Dobbs 4 interceptions, I mean, the fact that you were actually in this game after you turned the ball over 4 times is a minor miracle.
Well, the Bears had some turnovers too.
And they also only scored 3 points off of those turnovers. Like, this is wild.
Yeah, if that was a Sunday game, we definitely wouldn't be talking about it because this looked like 2 basement teams. But the funny thing is the Vikings are still a great chance to make the playoffs.
Yeah, they are 6-6 and definitely in the hunt. 855-212-4CBS. EJ, I think poll question, Justin Fields' future in Chicago. I think it's over.
I think a better question is, if the Bears have the number 3 pick, do they take a quarterback next year? I mean, because Caleb Williams, to me, is too strong an option, too strong a lure. It makes it unfair to Justin Fields. Where I think you think I like your reasoning because of the financials and the salary cap start over. I think that's very good. That has mostly convinced me. But I still think that they're going to look at Justin Fields and say, man, will we draft that guy number 3 in this year's draft? Probably.
There was a great conversation that Troy and Joe had last night about Justin Fields. They're talking about his future and how this is an audition for him and all of that. And they're like, Ryan Poles and Matt Eberflus have a big decision to make. And then they take a beat and they've got a decision to make on Eberflus too. It's like, yeah, let's not get ahead of ourselves here that Matt Eberflus is going to be making this decision. He's a great defensive mind, though. I like him as my defensive coordinator.
And Ryan Poles is still trying to get out from underneath that Chase Claypool trade that was going down as one of the worst trades. Second-round pick for a wide receiver who did not try at all. They had to get rid of. So it's not an ideal franchise. That's the other thing. Do you have faith in the GM either? I think he's got a lot to prove.
Maybe the Montez Sweat trade is a good one. I mean, he came up with a couple of huge stops on third down last night.
Oh, he looks great. So you're right. But it's, again, last night, both teams, if you'd asked me watching that game and not knowing what the records were, I'm like, oh, these are 2 of the worst teams in the league.
Well, you're not so far off. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Okay, a lot more to do. Want to hear from you about Justin Fields. Again, you're welcome to call in. Come hang with us in the chat, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio, twitch.tv/CBS Sports Radio. One NFL team, the hottest in the NFL, but is it fool's gold? We'll tell you that in just a minute. Do not move. And good morning or good evening, wherever you are. It's Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Back on Maggie and Perloff. So last night's Bears-Vikings game felt like an audition for Justin Fields. Maggie thinks he failed the audition. Fail is a strong word to say.
He's like a C+.
I felt like he hung in there enough to give the Bears options if they don't have the number 1 or number 2 pick. But you think because of the way the salary cap works that they're going to have to jump on a quarterback at 3. But I'll paint the scenario. If number 1 is Caleb Williams, number 2 is Drake May, and Marvin Harrison Jr., Maserati Marv is sitting there.
Yeah, now everyone's coming around to the Maserati Marv nickname.
I'm all in.
Before you guys were like, oh, what a terrible nickname from Gus.
It's the most entertaining part of an Ohio State game right now. I think that they're at least going to think. Now, Justin Fields has a massive fumble problem. I think the Bears might say that's correctable. He's got a good arm. He's incredibly fast.
Yep.
We have one more year of cost certainty before we have to re-sign him. Then you could franchise tag him as well. Not ideal. I do think there is at least more to be determined about that where you think it's done. And I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, I think that's probably it. I mean, especially because I think that the Bears are going to have a new coach. I think yeah, and that's a big deal. And I think it's going to be a new coach. It's going to be a start over situation. And then let's also be honest. I mean, Carolina, you're going to get a bump here, for a new coach bump, presumably, because that's how it always works with Antonio Pierce and stuff like that. It's worked that way. But what are we talking about here? One win?
The coaches could come in and say, the new coaches could come in and tell the owner, I'm going to fix Justin Fields. And that could be attractive to the owner as well.
Well, then you're just telling somebody what they want to hear.
Well, that's how a coaching interview goes.
Can you really make good on that? Let's hit the phones, 855-212-4CBS. Charlie is in Vancouver. Good morning, Charlie. How are you?
I am really good. It is 3:30 in the morning here, and this is the first time we catch you guys locally. We get you at noon. They replay you.
Awesome.
So for a month and a half or however long you guys have been going, I've been dying during the afternoon wanting to call. So I got a few things I got to bring up if it's okay.
Yeah, why are you up, Charlie? What's going on?
To call the show.
I quit my job as an educator. We went on strike, and I was going to go back to work. I'd quit for about 6 months to be a grandpa. My grandson is a year old.
Oh,
and it was my only
congrats.
chance to watch. Yeah, thank you. It's awesome. And anyway, school went on strike, and I said, okay, I'm on strike too. Then I'm done. I'm going to be a Lyft driver part-time from graveyard to 10 p.m. till 2 a.m. And I finally made it till 3 a.m. So here I am.
Right.
Anyway,
Thank you for
I wanted to
thank you for that last cup of coffee. Yeah.
You bet. I wanted to comment about the red light stop thing. Remember about a month and a half ago? Can you go at 3 a.m. if there's nobody around?
Ooh.
God, I hope so, because I have about 100 tickets if not. Anyway,
I'll tell you
true.
what, Charlie, we'll let you get through all your points. I did this again this morning. I'm sitting there at the red light. I see the thing counting down from 16.
Oh, you got to go.
Which feels like eternity, and there's nobody for miles, but I waited there like a patsy. What else you got, Charlie?
You did not.
I did.
Oh,
I'm a rule
okay.
follower. I know.
I tell you what, if I get a bunch of tickets in the mail, I'm going to call you really, really smart, not just a rule follower. Hey, let me make a few comments first.
Yeah.
Bo Nix.
Yes.
Okay. I know you guys probably don't see him play as much because, again, that time thing. I watch Caleb Williams play a lot.
Yeah.
And he reminds me of Joe Barry Carroll as a basketball player. We used to call him Joe Barry Barely Cares. Because that's what Caleb looks like to me. I mean, he's as talented as they get. But, again, you also have to be a leader as a quarterback. And maybe he is. I just wonder in a few years if we're going to be a little bit misled by what he's really done. Because look at the big games that he's played. He was poor against Oregon State last year, and Oregon State was good but not great. He was poor again this year in a couple of big games. Not that the defense didn't let him down every single game, but again, I think if watching Bo Nix against Oregon State the other night, when he ran at least 5 times out of running, sprinting away from linebackers and completing passes that looked like they were throwaways that just ended up being 30-yard bombs that were just completed every time. I was going, okay, not just statistically, this guy is good.
Yeah.
And now can I go back to Brock Purdy?
Yeah.
You were talking about how good is sorry for bouncing all over.
I love it. Yeah, you're basically hitting our whole rundown today, so keep going.
Okay, Brock Purdy a month ago, you guys were talking about is he a assistant quarterback, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, is he the MVP?
Right. No, I don't think he's MVP because he's $1 million. He's a tremendous processor, and he might do what San Francisco needs better than anybody can. But again, you talk about how great would he be in other systems? Probably not. Again, if he had to use his feet a lot and run, he's in trouble. But he processes so quick, and San Francisco has so much talent and, again, such a great game plan offensively. It's just a no-brainer here. It's just a perfect fit that he would get there. I don't think anybody, and again, so I wouldn't get another quarterback if you're Frisco. That's not what's going to cost you the issues. I wonder what Caleb Williams is going to be if he has a poor offensive line. Because
what you see it right now, and he's awesome.
But
look at the big games
against NFL defenses.
Don't look at stats.
Well, it sounds like that thing about leadership. We said the same things about Justin Herbert, and he's done pretty well. So I don't know if that's fair.
No, I don't know. I personally, I didn't say the same things about Justin Herbert because what I'm talking about by leadership is his body language. I saw USC play all but 2 games this year, and before they were bad, well, I won't say bad, but before they were almost 500 now.
Yeah.
His body language just poor the whole time. I'm just sitting on the. Again,
Charlie, it's the criticism there for Caleb Williams for sure. Fantastic call, Charlie.
Yes.
Thank you for staying up and getting all that stuff in. You're awesome. Don't be a stranger. And I'm sure that's got to be. Thank you so much. I'm sure that's got to be frustrating if you're listening to us at noon.
Yeah, I'll give you my personal number. You
I
can
was
just
going
call
to say,
me at
call
home.
Perloff. Call us. We need a bat phone. We need a voicemail line or something for people who are listening to us on the delay can call in with their gripes because that's got to be infuriating to disagree with us and you can't get through to us.
Absolutely. I feel bad. I'm glad Charlie stayed up. But this Caleb Williams has been bad thing. This is insane, right? I mean, in my opinion, look at his stats. He easily a Heisman candidate. He just gave it to him last year on a bad team. I don't think USC is very good at all. And all he does is sling it around the yard. He's up in completion percentage. His touchdown to interception ratio differential is awesome. He's
so 42 touchdowns and 5 picks last year, 30 and 5 this year.
Yeah.
Well, no
30 touchdowns and 5
picks. No Jordan Addison.
Look at his completion percentage.
So here's the thing about Caleb, though. I don't think anything. I think that, Charlie wants to talk about, is Bo Nix maybe, close the gap on Caleb Williams or look at him in the big games. I think the bigger thing that Charlie said is what is going to stick during this pre-draft process, which is the fair or unfair, leadership, body language, all of that stuff. Like when the going gets tough, is this somebody who is rallying the team or is this somebody who's kind of tuning out? And only the people who are in that building are going to know. I think him crying in his mother's arms, like I don't take him down a peg for that. You saw Michael Penix couldn't even watch the game-winning field goal in the Apple Cup. These guys, it feels like the weight of the world is on their shoulders. So I understand the emotion. My question is, you're probably going to go to a bad team in the NFL, and you're going to lose a lot. So how are you going to deal with losing on the NFL level? Because not every rookie steps into a great situation.
I see that stuff all as window dressing and nonsense. I think Caleb Williams, any guy who can basically be backpedaling and avoid 3 rushers and throw the ball 50 yards downfield with no lower body below him, that's very unique. I think any team that passes on him, it would be insane. This isn't Bryce Young, who is 5'10". It's Caleb Williams. Is one of the strongest arms we've seen in college in a long time. Honestly, I think that if you're this talented, all that talent, all that personality stuff is it usually ends up being deceiving. Anything we hear about character in the draft is more often wrong than right. So I don't think there's, in my mind, this Drake May or Bo Nix over Caleb Williams stuff is lunacy.
Andrew Bogish is here with headlines. Good morning, Bogues.
Good morning, everybody. Those headlines sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Insurance for motorcycles, boats, and RVs for protection on the road and on the water. See how much you can save at 1-800-PROGRESSIVE and Progressive.com. At one point last night, Josh Dobbs had thrown more picks, 4, than his team had points, 3, but then this happened.
1st and 10 from the Bears, 17. Clock runs. Dobbs, shotgun, short drop. Looks right, sees nothing. Throws to the end zone. Touchdown! T.J. Hawkinson!
But then this happened.
30-yard field goal for the lead. Clock is ticking at 13. Good snap, ball put down, kick is up, the kick is perfect. The kick is perfect, and the Bears have gone up 12-10 with 10 seconds to go.
And that mercifully was the final in Minneapolis.
Is this the Super Bowl? That touchdown call was really, really big.
Also, the field goal was a little overblown. It wasn't Jake Elliott hitting a 59-yarder in the rain. It was a 30-yard field goal.
Bears win last night, 12-10. The highlights from Paul Allen on Vikings Radio, Kevin Harlan on Westwood One. The Eagles had nothing to do with that game. Dobbs nearly stealing the win after those 4 picks, but those 4 picks mean 8 giveaways in 4 games as a Viking.
Turnovers, really control the game. And so it starts with me and taking care of the football with my decision making.
Head coach.
Don't need to be a rocket scientist for that one.
Head coach Kevin O'Connell said they'll spend their bye week evaluating the QB spot with Nick Mullins and Jaron Hall now healthy behind Dobbs. As for the Bears, this is the first NFC North win from Matt Eberflus. It also ends a 6-game losing streak against Minnesota. Justin Fields moved the offense just enough for 4 field goals. Bills defensive end Shaq Lawson has apologized for an incident with an Eagles fan Sunday afternoon. Video shared on social media seems to show Lawson shoving the fan, whom Lawson says had been making life-threatening remarks since pregame. They asked security to remove the person, and they did not. The Dolphins are signing Jason...
Wait, hold on one second.
Life-threatening. That's the term he used.
Yeah.
Okay. I watched the video 100 times, Zapruder style. Why didn't the security guard do anything in the moment?
Right.
I'm sure these people don't get paid a lot. I'm sure it probably is tough to watch a big, huge football player and a likely drunk fan, who knows, or whatever, a wild fan. I don't want to slander anybody, but somebody, I think he has a drink in his hand during the video. Anyway.
I mean, it's Philly. It might be a priest. We don't know.
You're right. It could be. It's actually the head of an orphanage. I have no idea.
I don't think you're out of bounds to call that Eagles fan drunk. I think that's assumed.
Well, I don't want to get into a situation. But anyway, well, I know the security guard, that's tough, but that's also your job to get in there and break these two sides up. Am I crazy?
Oh, I don't know. That's a big guy to break up if you're a security
Well, what are you
guard.
standing there for?
There's also like team security, and this had been going on the entire game. So like somebody that works for the Bills could go find a more important stadium security person and be like, we need to get this dude away from my sideline because he's causing a problem. Like it wasn't just the thing we've seen on video.
Yeah.
We went through the entire game.
Well, also, what's the threshold to kick somebody out of a game? I know in Philadelphia, it's basically manslaughter 1.
Well, it's yelling at a fan, we're going to kill you. I think it's a gray area. What's a death threat?
Right. I mean, you got to say, I know you live at 123 Mulberry. Like, you need to be very specific if you're yelling life-threatening remarks at a player.
I'm not even being funny. Like it's a lot of gray area. Like, do we really know what he was saying? Yeah, it could have been really serious, or it could have been more normal fan yelling.
Or like, I know where Maria lives. Like, you're getting like
start
really
naming family members.
Yeah, the second you name a
guys
family
get
member,
weird.
then all bets are off. I agree.
Okay, but the other thing, too, is, I'm assuming Shaq Lawson, right, went to Clemson. He played in huge games in front of raucous crowds and rabid college football fans. He knows the difference between just somebody who's trash talking and being rabid versus crossing the line.
Well, it was the ACC, not the SEC. So I don't know if those NC State fans are bringing it like the Eagles fans.
And I'll be real too. I mean, does he really like he walked a long distance from the bench? Watching this video now from the bench to
a lot of guys did.
Right.
It was a caravan.
And, I mean, were we able to even discernibly hear what these guys were saying? I mean, I'm not saying that it definitely wasn't the case, but like to say that he was making life-threatening remarks, I would say, okay, like what were they? Because you're in a loud stadium. It was a big game.
Let's be honest, Bills offense had that crowd pretty quiet for most of the day.
Well, yeah, but I mean, typically, the Bills are on offense. That means that the Philly crowd's actually going to be its loudest. It's not like you're an offensive player and you're hearing, the Eagles at work. So I would like to know if they went up to him and then he said something. Like, I want to know the details of the timeline of when these life-threatening remarks were made. I'm not saying it didn't happen because it's Philly. It probably did happen. I'm just wondering, how do you hear that from what looked like had to be 30 yards away?
I think the players do hear it. I was listening to my favorite podcast, the St. Browns. Amon-Ra St. Brown, coolest player in the NFL, and his brother Equanimous. He said that there's a guy that goes with the Lions that all the opposing teams know really well who talks trash, and they talk trash back to him. So I think they are hearing the fans. Remember Jalen Ramsey climbed into the crowd? Yeah. Was that last year or 2 years ago?
Marcus Peters did it.
Oh, it was Marcus Peters.
Yeah.
Sorry, I confused my Hall of Fame cornerbacks. Yeah, I think it happens a lot.
I've never sat in the front row of a football game.
I think I have for college, never pro.
Yeah, I've never had the pleasure.
But I do think you can hear him. And that being said, I agree with EJ. Shaq Lawson's going way out of his way to confront this guy. Is that necessary?
And he wasn't even the first guy there. He was going with somebody else.
Jordan Phillips was the guy who actually made the initial contact.
But I could say Eagles fans probably want that reaction too, because they want to get
playing into their hand.
Yeah.
Cousin Eddie in the chat said it was Bradley Cooper's brother. No, of course it wouldn't be, because no one in Bradley Cooper's family is sitting out in the rain like that because they're fair weather.
Bradley has any family members with dreads, black dude with dreads. I don't know if unless that's a step sibling or something.
Well, the Eagles fans are so proud of that meme that's going around of a 8-year-old kid who goes to shake a hand of a Bills fan and gives him the finger. It is like
your
right behind.
Moment.
It's right behind Rocky. It's the greatest thing that ever happened in Philadelphia. They're so proud of that.
This is like better than when Eli Manning admitted that a young Eagles fan gave him the double bird.
Oh yeah.
You guys are so proud of this.
But it is a thing at the game to get young kids to do obscene gestures. It's a long tradition.
Your thing?
Yeah. No, I've seen it many times.
I have a question though too. Like, at what point? Because these guys play for the Bills, and they have a raucous crowd as well. That is also
the Bills The Bills fans moon people.
Right.
It's pretty gross.
Is it a little disingenuous to go crazy about what certain other fans are saying when I have never heard Shaq Lawson or Jordan Phillips or any of these guys say anything about whenever people complain about the Bills fans?
What, about throwing dildos on the field? That bothers you, EJ?
I mean,
does that offend you? That
me.
was only for Tom Brady. It was a very specific thing that Bills fans did to Tom Brady.
If you play for a raucous fan base.
Can I say that on the air?
Nope.
You dumped it. Okay.
Nobody heard it.
Sex toy. There we go. Good morning.
If you play for a raucous fan base that also crosses the line, I think there's a certain level of...
Okay, so fine. So only who's the nicest fan base?
I don't know.
Vikings?
Chargers fans? They don't exist. Sorry.
Only the Vikings fans are allowed to talk trash?
I got to say, even Philly trash talk is a different level than anything you'll see in Buffalo. I think the people are way nicer in Western New York.
Buffalo seems like they're meaner to themselves, like jumping through tables, on fire. Like, do they
self-effacing?
I'll be honest, the only fan base I've seen that's almost as classless as the Eagles fan base is the Jets fan base, but they're not really yelling at other people. They're just disgusting in the stands, yelling at women and stuff. But the Jets and the Eagles, that's a bad crowd, EJ. I know you just that's a tough crowd to be around.
I mean, I don't know.
Jets fans? What are you, crazy?
I've never heard of opponents talking about Jets fans giving them problems.
These Jets fans are too busy giving other Jets fans. I'm just saying.
That's a different thing, right?
Do you remember the old Jets chant? This is from like a decade ago. This one would not hold up today in the Me Too era. Instead of JETS, 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 Jets. I don't know if I can say this. I think I can.
Oh.
Pete's shaking his head.
Oh, now I got to hear it.
You probably can't, but go ahead.
All right. The TITS?
Yeah, you can.
Okay. I can't say that one. I got dumped again. Twice on my own show.
Yes. In one segment.
Nice.
I'm working blue today? What?
Maggie's turning heel.
I didn't even curse.
First, the nonsense of the bet yesterday, and now this, Maggie. What's going on? What happened over Thanksgiving weekend?
I'm unhinged.
Seriously.
I like
Here
the
come
cursing,
Bills fans.
This is
what happens.
Spell a curse word, Pete. Is that allowed?
This is what happened.
No.
This is
what she didn't just spell it, though. She kind of
wrong?
chanted it. She kind of sung it.
By the way, I
what
was
if you
doing
sing
my
it, Pete? Is that okay?
Maggie's getting ready for when she actually ends up wearing all this Eagles gear.
Yes,
becomes an Eagles.
thank you.
Oh, yeah.
It's like I'm loosening up before the big race. I'm just stretching here, doing my best Eagles fan impersonation. I'm getting dumped twice. All right, we got to go because I've been cursing apparently.
And you're out of delay, too, so let's get out of here before anything else bad happens.
No promises. Well, thank you, Pete, for being the safety net. Sorry, Bogush, ruined your headlines. Coming up, we do have one team. Are they for real or are they fool's gold? We're going to tell you next if we can get through a segment without cursing. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. I'm going to clean it up a little bit around here as we're so PG. I get it. Pipilotti on the dump button, saving my career.
Our rated R superstar.
Yeah, I know.
Maggie
Look
Gray.
at me. Who's that? Adam
Copeland.
Adam Copeland.
Yes, formerly known as Edge.
And now me. I think this is a big story. Perloff's not convinced. The Denver Broncos have won 5 in a row and are the hottest team in the NFL. Can we hear from Russell Wilson, please, talking about this turnaround and what's behind it?
We've lost some tough games early, but I think that helps you prepare to understand that, hey, it's a long journey. We've got a lot more ahead of us, a lot more football, a lot more great teams ahead of us, so we just got to stay focused on us. But I think the biggest thing that I think Broncos country is feeling, us as players, organizationally, inside that building, and most importantly inside the locker room, is a relentless belief in each other and a relentless belief in our coaches and who we are and where we're going and what it takes to win. I think that we're starting to learn what it takes to win. That's a good thing in this building, and we need that, and we got to stay the course there.
Oh, give us a let's ride. You know he wanted to. You know he did.
He did give us Broncos country.
He gave us Broncos. Just give us the let's ride. I think this is a bigger story because if this team actually does make the playoffs, and in the AFC, things are cratering where the Browns, are they going to win another game? We have no idea. Are the Colts for real? Like, these are teams that have wild card spots today that I don't think will have wild card spots when push comes to shove. So if somehow the Broncos do get in the playoffs, I think the ramifications here are huge. I think this means that, Peyton and Russell Wilson will say they can make this work.
Yep.
I think the Broncos are not looking for a quarterback this offseason if they go to the playoffs. Like, I think this is a big sliding doors, domino effect type of year where whether or not they make the playoffs or not definitely has a huge impact on the Broncos' immediate future.
But they can't get rid of Russ anyway. So where's the sliding door?
Well, if he plays well, they might try to trade him. They might try to go in a different direction or start again.
Taking that contract.
I know it's a big contract.
I don't really think there's a sliding door. I think there's a mediocre door. They're going to be an 8-9 or 9-8 team. How can you say they're the hottest team in the NFL?
They've won 5 straight games.
Yeah, the Philadelphia Eagles have just beaten Dallas, Kansas City, and Buffalo. And who have the Broncos beat? I mean, the Cowboys are actually hotter than them. They've beaten terrible teams. I'm sorry. And I'm going to say this because Buffalo is in that mix, but Buffalo's playing terrible football right now. They beat DTR last week, and they're averaging 4.5 yards a play. They are really, really slowing the game down and beating bad teams. The huge litmus test. I don't even want to talk about them until I see how they play against Houston.
Okay,
because you have to admit there is this feeling we don't know if they're really a good team.
Well, that's the thing, right? Because this game going to Houston, meanwhile, look at Houston. Last week against Jacksonville, massive game. This is going to be another playoff type atmosphere game for the Broncos and the Texans. Like this has become a massive game for week, what are we, 13?
Yeah, I'm just saying to get all this Denver hype. If they win this game, then I'm all in. I'm on board with you. I'm going to ride. But
Chargers,
not yet.
At Detroit, New England, Chargers again, Vegas. There's wins on this schedule. 855-212-4CBS. Are the Broncos for real? Coming up, what is really motivating one superstar to get back to the field? We'll tell you next. Don't move.
Let's rock.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. 45 seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
He's the reigning Fortnite champion. She's a Call of Duty legend. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Wow, what a game last night. 12-10. Defensive battle, Perloff, and one where both quarterbacks made some pretty big mistakes and actually made more mistakes than they made great plays. Hey, welcome to the show. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Yeah. Hate to put it that way, but it's the truth. Josh Dobbs throws 4 interceptions. They were all deflections. It wasn't like these, super egregious ones, but nonetheless, 4 interceptions. The Bears offense was not able to really take advantage of those turnovers. They only scored 3 points off of turnovers because Justin Fields had 2 fumbles in the game. Now, Fields definitely made some better throws, maybe a couple bigger throws. Dobbs did have 1 touchdown throw to TJ Hawkinson. Overall, what I'm getting at here, this was not like an offensive, barn burner. And it was the defenses really took over. And for Josh Dobbs, here's the thing. The Josh Dobbs story is always going to be good, you know, and the story, unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, the story is better than the play. And that's just what it is with Josh Dobbs. Now, Minnesota is still potentially a playoff team, so this could have a very fun ending, and the story's not written yet. But for Dobbs, it's always been a better story than it's actually been better football. For Justin Fields, this is his audition to win the job as the Bears quarterback of the future, and I don't think he's done enough to win that job. Yep. The Bears are likely going to have the number 1, number 2 overall pick. And I think even if they have 3 or 4, wherever Carolina ends up landing here on the draft board, I think they're starting over with a new head coach and a new quarterback.
Okay, Josh Dobbs, they have a bye. The guy's still learning the offense, and Justin Jefferson's coming back.
Right.
Last night was terrible. I give some credit to the Bears defense. I think Dobbs can play a lot better. They couldn't run the ball last night. I think the Vikings are going to make the playoffs, and I think Josh Dobbs will be their quarterback because at least he can move his legs. The backups, Nick Mullins and Jaron Hall, don't offer as much. So I know Kevin O'Connell was mixed about the future of Josh Dobbs. I think there's more to this story, and the 7th spot in the NFC is not good.
No.
It's not great. So the Vikings have a chance to nab that spot. I don't know what it means for the future of the team. Last night they kept saying they want Cousins back next year, and I think that'll probably happen. But I think Dobbs is okay. But I really disagree with you. Justin Fields, there is a scenario that plays out where he's back with Chicago.
What is it?
Well, if they don't get one of the top 2 picks, then I think that they won't roll the dice again with Justin Fields. There's definitely an argument. EJ made it earlier, and I agree with this, that adding Marvin Harrison Jr. and another good offensive lineman could make Justin Fields a much better quarterback. We've seen that. You saw Josh Allen got Stephon Diggs.
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts got A.J. Brown. You can add a receiver and make a guy a better player, and Marvin Harrison seems like that kind of receiver.
Yeah, but here's the thing, right? Stephon Diggs, A.J. Brown, these guys were known commodities in the NFL who had played in playoff games. Again, I think Marvin Harrison is awesome. We all think he's awesome. He's got the pedigree. No one's discounting that. He's still going to be a rookie. It's still going to be, he's still going to have to prove it on the pro level, guys.
What? I take Marvin Harrison today over Stephon Diggs for sure, and probably over A.J. Brown.
All right. Well, let's not get nuts.
He is the best. He's the generational wide receiver talent. That we've not seen another Marvin Harrison.
No, I get it. And Garrett Wilson came in, was great right away, and he was another Ohio State wide receiver.
Garrett Wilson, you could fit 2 Garrett Wilsons into Marvin Harrison. He's still just as fast. I don't even think they're the same kind of prospect.
I guess here's what I would say. I think that the most important position on the field is quarterback. You have got to ask yourself, like, is Marvin Harrison going to be able to raise the ceiling that much more on Justin Fields, or are we kind of seeing the ceiling, or are we near the ceiling of Justin Fields? The other part is there's just a simple math part of this, which is Fields is in his 3rd year. He's a first-round pick. You've got to decide if you're picking up that 5th-year option at the end of this season. It's going to be about $20 million. And to be honest, if you keep him and you don't draft a quarterback high, you're giving Fields a ton of leverage to pull a Kyler Murray if he wanted to, and all of a sudden say, pay me.
Well,
and
Kyler Murray was after 3 years. He did that. That's
what Fields would be doing.
No, he'll be into his 5th year by the time.
No, this is Fields' 3rd season.
Right. But
So,
he's not going to. They're not going to pay him this offseason.
I'm saying if they pass on a quarterback, you essentially tell Fields, we're rolling with you.
Yes.
So
we're trying you out for another year.
No, he could say, so pay me. I mean,
but they're not doing that. It's different than Kyler Murray. I don't think there's any way they're going to give him at most they'll give him a Jordan Love contract with 2 years, $26 million, or a Daniel Jones contract at the high end. There's no way he's getting $180 million. Not in a million years.
leverage. And Justin Fields would have the leverage if they decide to stay with him. That's just how this stuff works. So for me, I think that the Bears are still in a place where they're young, the roster's super young, and they can start over with a rookie quarterback, and I think they will do it.
I know what you're saying. I think if Caleb Williams is there, there's no way they pass on him. Anybody else?
Right.
I think even Drake May, I think there's going to be a long discussion.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. So you're welcome to weigh in on the future of Justin Fields. Okay. Speaking of quarterbacks with leverage, there should be business classes in the future that look at Dak Prescott and how he has gotten one over on Jerry Jones and already did that in his career, and how he will again get another one over on Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones, the great businessman, the great, powerful owner, the most powerful owner in the NFL, and Dak Prescott is in line yet again to get one over on Jerry Jones. He did this before when they could not come to a contract agreement, and this is like around 2020. And Prescott goes into the season willing to play on the franchise tag, willing to play on the second franchise tag, okay? Which is not cost effective at all for any team. He goes into that season. He ends up breaking his leg. They end up having to pay him because they realize what life was like without Dak Prescott, and he got one over on Jerry. He is now setting up to get another one over on Jerry. With Dak Prescott having a career year, they never got a contract extension in this offseason, Perloff. And tell me what the Dallas Cowboys are going to do this offseason. They're not starting over with a quarterback. Dak Prescott can basically go in and say, write me a blank check, and the Cowboys are going to have to do it.
But why does he getting one over on Jerry? I mean, they're about to have their 3rd straight 12-plus win season. So, yeah, they're going to pay him a lot of money, and they're probably going to win 12 or 13 games. Is that such a bad scenario?
Well, I think when I say getting one over is because I think there were things that Prescott wanted to hold out for, I know, the first time around, which is he wanted the shorter contract and Jerry wanted the longer contract. Right. Dak ended up getting what he wanted there. I think right now, you're talking about a quarterback on the other side of 30. Do you think they want to make him the highest paid quarterback in the league? Maybe not as guaranteed money like Deshaun Watson, but he could surpass Joe Burrow. Do you really think that the Cowboys want to give him that much money? They definitely don't.
I mean,
and they're going to be forced to.
Why not? I mean, first of all, it's a quarterback cycle thing. To say the highest paid quarterback of all time doesn't mean much because he'll be passed over by the next 3 contracts.
Sure. I'll tell you why.
Why? Yeah, why not? Did you think there's injury risk?
Nope. The reason why they don't want to do this is because look at everyone else they've got to pay. You've got CeeDee Lamb.
They've paid a lot of these guys already, by the way. But go ahead.
You've got Micah Parsons. You have just already paid Trayvon Diggs, and he got injured this whole year. So do you end up having to play Deron Bland? Not yet. He's only in his 2nd year. But still, You had a contract holdout with one of your offensive linemen that got kind of contentious this offseason. You end up paying Terrence Steele. How are you going to keep that line together? This is getting expensive here for the Dallas Cowboys. And adding Prescott, the reason why they have to get something done is Prescott's cap hit balloons to like $55 million next year. Dak won this thing. Game, set, match. He got one over on Jerry, and he's going to get even more rich after this one.
I feel like that's so oddly judgmental of Dak Prescott. Got one over. I think
I'm praising him for that, because if Jerry had this kind of leverage on someone else, he would use it and abuse it.
But it implies that he's not a good quarterback.
No, he's peaking
because
at the
everyone
right
was
time.
excited when the Chargers signed Justin Herbert or whatever. I just think.
Do you think Dak Prescott should?
Yeah, I think he's really
getting
good.
Paid more than Joe Burrow?
No, not more than Joe. But that's the way we all know that's how quarterbacks work. I think Dak Prescott's elite. I've been saying that all along. I think he's going to win you a lot of football games as long as he stays healthy. You know, if he decides to use his legs, then he's even more effective. Yeah, I mean, I said it. I think he's a strong MVP candidate this year. He's a really, really good quarterback. So, no, I think when you pay $50 million a year for a really good quarterback, that's just the going rate in the NFL. And I think you're a lucky franchise if that's the case, because the other option is that you're just cycling through guys and losing a bunch of football games.
Well, the best option is actually you win with young guys, but that's not an option here right now with the Cowboys because they can't start over with a young quarterback. But here's the thing. You're going to be paying Dak Prescott. This is like what the Denver Broncos are going through. You're going to be paying Dak Prescott top 5 quarterback money, and he's not a top 5 quarterback.
Oh, see, I don't. He's way closer to top 5 than Russell Wilson is.
Well, I'll grant you
so
that.
I think what happened was Denver ended up paying all that money. Then they realized that Russell Wilson lost a massive step or two. I think Dak's not as vulnerable to lose his athleticism because he's more of a pocket quarterback. I think Dak's going to be fine as long as he stays healthy. There is an injury risk. Again, he's gone blow for blow with Jalen Hurts, who could be the MVP. I think Dak's right up there. He's maybe not top 5, but he's not far behind. I mean, listen, this year he's definitely been top 5. He's going to end up. He's definitely. I looked at Pro Football Focus. He's the number 1 quarterback by a mile this year, according to their grading system. Set the record in his last game against Washington. He's had kind of an easy schedule. It's helped.
Yes. And what did he do against the 49ers? And what did he do against the Eagles?
He was great against the Eagles.
Okay, but they lost the game at the end of the game when he had the ball in his hands. You and I are never going to agree on that Eagle game.
Regardless, he threw for 350 yards, 3 touchdowns, and no picks.
Yeah, but okay.
He eviscerated the Eagles, and he's probably going to do it again because he owns the Eagles. So he's the one quarterback the Eagles hate facing. He's probably the best guy against the Eagles. He was way better than Mahomes, and Josh Allen was pretty good too. But anyway, the point is he's doing nothing wrong this year. He's gonna end up with 35 touchdowns, 10 picks. That's great. He's gonna win 13 games. What's wrong with this scenario?
This is why this sets up for him to have all the leverage in the world, and you're paying a guy, and you're going to be paying him not just for this year, but this is the next 5. I mean, this is...
Definitely. I mean, would they don't want to have to find a new quarterback in the next 5 years, do they?
Maybe not, but at the same time, you could have gotten a deal done last offseason, and maybe you wouldn't be staring at the type of price tag that you are going to be staring at this offseason. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. And again, Micah Parsons got to get paid. CeeDee Lamb's got to get paid. There's a lot of expensive pieces here on this Dallas Cowboys team, and Dak Prescott is going to be taking the biggest piece of the pie of all of them. That's not what you want, I don't think.
Well,
that's not what they want in an ideal situation.
But there's no way, after you get off that rookie deal, there's no other way. What do you think's happening in Philadelphia and Kansas City and Buffalo and all these other, if you have an elite quarterback, what's the other option?
Okay, but I think that's where I think Dak Prescott is a good quarterback who's having a phenomenal stretch right now, helped by new offense, new style, and bad competition, where he's running up the score.
What about 2 years ago when he had 37 touchdowns and 10 picks?
Yeah, they paid out the nose.
Yeah, he was great then too. I mean, he's been actually rather consistent, except last year where he was injured. He had a bunch of interceptions that were quite fluky. I don't think this is a career year. I think this is who he is.
855-212-4CBS. Dak Prescott could become the highest paid quarterback in the league. Now, again, it's not going to be like the Deshaun Watson guarantees, but no one's ever getting that again, I don't think. I mean, if Joe Burrow didn't get it, I can't.
Yeah, but actually the guarantees are creeping up. Deshaun was 230. They're getting high 100s.
Burrow's like around 180 or something like that.
I think Watson will get passed sooner rather than later. Because the quarterback salary is in 5 years. What are they paying these guys?
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Dak Prescott, future of the Cowboys. I mean, right now, things are going great. I'd love the Cowboy fan to tell me if they lose again to the 49ers in the playoffs or something, if they really want Dak Prescott being the highest paid player on the team.
Oh, I mean, highest paid player on the team, he's their quarterback.
Or in the league, put it that way.
Yeah, and what's the other option again?
That's what I'm saying. Dak's got all the leverage here.
Right.
And again, Jerry gets checkmated by his quarterback in 2 straight negotiations. It's brilliant.
If you called Jerry Jones before the year and said, which scenario would you like better? That Dak plays poorly and you don't have to pay through the nose, or Dak is on fire and you have to pay a lot of money? Of course Jerry would take the latter.
Then why didn't they get the deal done last year?
I think Jerry probably made a mistake, but they still would have to pay a lot last year too. We're talking, I mean, do you think he was going to be cheap last year?
No, but coming off, say he does win the MVP this year, I mean, just add another 10% or whatever just on that alone.
Yeah. And he won and you have an MVP quarterback. This is a problem a lot of teams would want to have.
Not if they lose in the second round.
Why? Okay, so were you against paying Lamar Jackson?
No, but I also think that Lamar is a much higher ceiling than Dak.
Ooh, okay.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. And by the way, that's the first payday for Lamar Jackson. This is going to be the second payday for Dak Prescott. He already got paid once. That was Lamar's first bite at the apple. This is going to be Dak's second.
My issue is that Lamar was on the market and Atlanta did not bite. That was the stupidest thing. Lamar was actually out there.
No, Atlanta, I mean, who else could have had him?
Atlanta, Carolina.
Oh, Carolina, you got to be
Carolina.
Carolina had a high pick. Atlanta didn't even have a high pick.
Right, but I mean, Carolina, I mean, they traded all those assets for a rookie when they could have got a superstar quarterback today.
For nothing.
Right.
With no draft picks. Just money.
To me, it's Atlanta because they had all those weapons. You know, they obviously don't really need Bijan. They would have Drake London, who looks great now, and Kyle Pitts, and that was the spot. If Lamar Jackson was indoor, he would have torn up the league right there. I mean, still tearing up the league in Baltimore. But
it would have been Mike Vick part 2. The amount of support he would have had also in the city. I don't know what they were doing.
And that schedule,
I know, he'd be royalty.
Yeah.
And that NFC South schedule, oh my God, that is the biggest mistake of the offseason if you look back on it. But Baltimore. Could Baltimore have matched? That's what I have to go back.
They could have, yes.
Yeah, and to be clear, they would have had to give up compensation because remember they had that non-exclusive tag they gave on them, so it would have been 2. It would have been 2 firsts, but you gave up 2 firsts for Bryce Young. Again, you gave up it for a rookie who you didn't know what you were going to get.
Oh, so you know what? Though?
If you're Carolina, again.
EJ, I disagree with you. Carolina would have been a terrible scenario for Lamar because look at the receivers. They
would have had DJ Moore.
Yeah. They wouldn't have had to give him up.
Even with DJ, that team, that line is terrible. Atlanta, you got to put him in Atlanta. Stop fantasizing that he's going to Carolina. With that offensive line is awful. And the receiving core, even with DJ Moore, is subpar. But Atlanta would be amazing.
But they lost so many assets that they could have replenished in the draft had they not made this trade for Bryce Young. They would have had more in their coffer to make that team better. So the team you see right now is purely because they decided we're going to give up basically everything we have for, again, a rookie. A guy who was the number 1 pick, but he's 5'10".
And wasn't the slam dunk.
Right.
You know, there was definitely, if there wasn't that silly S2 test, I don't even know if Carolina based anything off of that, but let's not forget, that was like a major thing that C.J. Stroud did terribly on this processing test, and Bryce Young hit it out of the park, and that might have been the deciding factor. Yesterday, Frank Reich gets fired. How in the world did the GM keep his job?
I don't know how he's still there. I saw a tweet saying that this is like the 7th coach they hired, which is insane.
Well, maybe the owner's
the owner hired.
But still.
Yes, but still.
But do you fire a GM mid-season? Because the GM doesn't even do that much during the season. I mean, your roster is pretty much set.
I might.
At a certain point, you got to send a message that like what's happening is not acceptable. Like I think that there is like some equity in saying, you know what, like. This what we like you okay you
everyone's out.
Yeah, we do that with Frank Reich, we understand that, but everybody knew he was a dead man walking.
Yeah,
I think to still keep Fitterer somehow makes it seem like assess this in the offseason and maybe he'll keep his job if we do some things right here, or that maybe if somehow another interim, just like Steve Wilkes did last year, does really well, maybe we'll say, oh, see, Fitterer actually wasn't the problem. It's actually the coach.
I'll bet you
know is the problem.
I will bet you guys anything Scott Fitterer does not last the offseason. I think he's gone.
He doesn't deserve to.
The day after the season. I think this is, honestly.
Why stagger your firing?
What's the difference?
Though?
I mean, who cares, though? Because he's gone right after the season. I think there's no chance he gets to hire another coach.
Oh, we have the surprise candidate who could be throwing their hat in the ring for that Carolina job. Did not see this one coming at all. And I don't think it would work. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. We'll tell you who that surprise candidate is for the Carolina Panthers next. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. 45 seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. So, I don't know about your timeline on the old Twitter yesterday, Maggie.
Yeah.
But mine was a series of columns ripping Panthers owner David Tepper.
Yes, I
There's
saw
one
all
thing
that.
people don't like is an interventionist owner who can't win a football game.
Hate it.
If the interventionist owner wins, then you might give him a break. But this has looked really bad. I feel like Frank Reich has gotten a huge pass on what was honestly a terrible job he did last year at Carolina. The offense was so stale. Bryce Young had no chance in that system whatsoever. But I think a lot of the heat is going down on the owner, which makes this next decision really big for their head coach because there's a lot of expectations. This guy, David Tepper, really rich, hedge fund guy, expects the best out of his coach and has gotten the exact opposite.
Yeah, I saw him being compared to Dan Snyder. Now, I don't think he's got the other stuff.
What?
Like Snyder
That's not
had
fair.
like the toxic work culture and all that. I mean, that was Jerry Richardson. That's why he was forced out and his kids sold the team. So that went away rather quietly. But I don't think he's Dan Snyder. I think he's got a little Jerry in him. You know, I think this is, Jerry believes he knows football extremely well. Jerry Jones, obviously, thinks he knows football extremely well. Maybe he does. And I think Tepper realizes that he's really good in one thing, which is making crap loads of money off of the stock market and whatever he's done. And I think he believes because he's been successful at that means all of a sudden he's going to be the successful football owner. And that's just not right because he's going through head coaches now like toilet paper. And they just made clearly a mistake taking Bryce Young. So This does set up for something. Andrew Bogish is here. Has got some headlines and maybe can shed some light onto these coaching candidates.
And it's all sponsored by Northern Tool and Equipment. Get the tools you need from the brands you trust. Start solving your projects today at northerntool.com. We're made for this. The Panthers didn't just fire Frank Reich yesterday. QB coach Josh McCown, running backs coach Deuce Staley also got the boot. Not sure who wants those jobs, but maybe former Carolina tight end Greg Olsen wants Reich's gig, or at least he is willing to interview if approached. That's how The Athletic describes it. I got to say this. We need to stop this dude. First, he goes into a TV booth. Now he wants to be a head coach with no experience. He's a monster. Wait
Greg
your
Olsen?
turn.
Wait a
Greg
minute.
Olsen.
Hold on,
Slow it
though.
down here, bro.
No. This is my read on it. Tom Brady did that interview with Stephen A. Smith. Remember where he called the league mediocre?
Mm-hmm.
Got a lot of headlines. He basically reconfirmed to Stephen A. that he is doing TV next year. Greg Olsen's going to be out of a job.
No, he's going to be the number 2 guy.
Yeah, but
What is second place? First loser.
this could be the graceful exit for Greg Olsen. I think he wants to like, Tom Brady's coming back. Well, like, bleep you. I'm going to go be the head coach of the Carolina Panthers anyway.
No, you gotta do your due diligence. This guy he was still playing when he got a Fox gig.
Greg Olsen was?
Yeah. Now he's the number 1 guy, and now he wants to be a head coach, and he's never coached the game before. There are rules here.
You
There's
think
a system.
he's a line skipper?
You know what?
Clearly.
You know what really annoyed me about the boost? Jay Cutler came in and was supposed to be the most entertaining guy ever. Did one game, then the Dolphins re-signed him. Then he never came back. Can we get Jay Cutler in the booth? Do you remember that story?
I remember someone behind the scenes told me that his audition was amazing.
Yes, and then he signed. He was going to be the 2 team that Olsen was. Then the Dolphins re-signed him because Tannehill got hurt, and he never came back to the booth. I do agree with Maggie.
I think this is the greatest lie ever told, is that Jay Cutler was charismatic.
No, Jay Cutler.
I think I'm
no. Jay Cutler is super funny. I saw him on that reality show. He was hysterical.
Well, it's easy to get laughs on a reality show like that because all you have to do is just roll your eyes at your wife, and everyone's like, "Ha ha ha, he's so down to earth."
Well, I just think I like the zany broadcaster. I like a little flavor there. I actually was a fan of John Gruden as his nonsensical Monday Night Football. I thought it was hysterical.
Spider 2 Y banana. Huh?
Oh my God, I would take notes every time of like all the funny things he said. Then we'd play him on the Dan Patrick Show, and that to me is more interesting than Greg Olsen is a very good analyst. But I hate to say it, I know the media loves him more than anything. They praise him. All the media writers say he's the greatest. But if he went away from the booth, would we really miss him at that high level? Say you put Tom Brady in there?
No, come on. I mean, Tom Brady, this is going to be an amazing experiment to see if he's good at this. No one's going to miss Greg Olsen. I don't know, Bogish, if I'm with you on the line skipping stuff. I think that's just the way it is now. Jeff Saturday didn't.
How'd that go?
Not great.
Yeah, Jeff Saturday killed Greg Olsen's chances here.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we see it in the NBA all the time. The guys go straight into coaching from their playing days.
Yeah, because what do you have to do as an NBA coach? Say, all right, LeBron, here's the basketball. Go win me the game.
Yeah. Luka, you shoot.
It's not exactly
Kyrie, you shoot.
You don't need tons of schematic experience to be an NBA coach. I think the NFL is a little different.
I don't know. I mean, yeah, maybe you're right about that.
I mean, no one's done it.
But why? But maybe Greg Olsen is that guy.
No, this is also just Greg Olsen putting his name out there. The story is not that David Tepper wants Greg Olsen.
Yes,
it's that Greg Olsen will pick up the phone if David Tepper calls.
Greg Olsen, dad was a high school football coach.
I do think that Greg Olsen is playing his hand right here, though, because there's so much anger around David Tepper. I mean, the amount of columns that came out yesterday talking about how bad Tepper is, how he's the worst owner in the NFL, which I agree he is. And Tepper may be looking for good publicity. Like, as crazy as it sounds for outsiders, I mean, Greg Olsen is a Panthers legend.
Yep.
He's also Miami Hurricane. Shout out to the U.
Yeah. So why does he go? Why didn't you take him in Miami? I know everyone hates the coach right now. Down the road, Greg Olsen back to Miami.
Yeah, I mean,
that's a different thing though with the recruiting and all that. Does he want to do that? You're right about that. Maybe they just need a face of the team, like an identity. And we know Greg Olsen is at least media savvy. Can he delegate now?
That's the worst idea I've ever heard. In the sense, what they need Kyle Shanahan or Sean McVay light. They need somebody who can run an offense so that Bryce Young can take 3 steps back and find an open receiver, which has not happened a single time this entire NFL season. They need somebody to scheme up an offense here.
It is an interesting question, though, about why is it that in Major League Baseball and in the NBA, we can have people go from just going from the booth and then deciding, well, they can coach, and some do well, some don't do well. And besides Jeff Saturday, it's basically just taboo in the NFL. Like,
you can't do it.
There's this idea that you have to pay your dues, so to speak. You have to be a low-level assistant or work in college or something to become an NFL head coach.
Do you know those little birds that you tap and their beak goes in and out of water? It's a little toy that you see.
That you have on your desk?
That you have on your desk. If you tap that bird is more effective than a baseball manager in 2023.
Wow.
Baseball managers do nothing. Of course you come out. The front office is running baseball teams. The managers are totally irrelevant. And basketball's not far behind. Football coaches have to do so much more than those.
But then you have Tom Brady saying the football coaches don't mean that much on game day.
And actually, Brady said when he said that the NFL is mediocre now, the first thing he said when Stephen A. asked why, he said coaching. It was literally the first thing out of his mouth. Anyway, Bogish, more headlines, yes.
It was 9-3 Bears in the fourth quarter in Minnesota on Monday Night Football. It was not pretty, to say the least, but it was Chicago in position to win on the road in division, and Justin Fields tried to give the game away.
Justin steps up. He's going to run. Gets to the 40. He's hit by Metellus. Fumble recovered by the Minnesota Vikings.
Paul Allen, Vikings Radio. Greatest moment in team history.
Wow.
It was the second fourth quarter fumble by Fields. The first one led to Minnie's lone touchdown, which gave them a 10-9 lead. But this time, Chicago's D forced a quick 3-and-out, and then Fields drove for a 30-yard Cairo Santos field goal to take back the W, 12-10.
Defense did a great job getting us the ball back for that last drive, and offense did a great job executing those plays. So felt great, and and really just felt good of, fighting through the adversity, ups and downs of the game. Guys never got too high or too low, and, we fought and, finished at the end, so it was good.
His team wasn't farther ahead in the fourth because they kept settling for field goals, not taking full advantage of 4 Josh Dobbs picks. Vikings head coach Kevin O'Connell would not commit to Dobbs starting after their bye. Rookie Jaron Hall and veteran Nick Mullins are now healthy.
Did you think it was, sorry to interrupt you, just a funny, speaking of coaching decisions and X's and O's type stuff. So they went for it on a 4th and 10.
That was amazing.
On the 40?
Was that the one where Hawkinson tried to reach it over the line? Is that the... Yeah, there was one.
No, the Bears. The Bears went for it on a 4th and 10, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be like 0 F's given, Bears, like awesome. They get it, and then they get inside the 25, or inside the 35. I have to go back and get it exactly, and it was like a 4th and 2, and they kicked the field goal?
Yeah.
Like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
You just went for it on a 4th and 10, and now you're, what? Why?
Did you see everyone, the new storyline is, all right, our team has nothing to lose. Let's go for it on 4th down. Everybody. The Vikings went for 4th and 7 and 4th and 8 in midfield too, and didn't make either. One was a pick and one was short.
Yeah.
I love it. Basically, every coach is going for every 4th down.
Well,
now.
and Joe Buck's
until the field goal. You're right.
The analytics say do not go just as Dobbs is going back to pass.
Yeah, it was a 4th and 10 on the Minnesota 38 when they went for it, and then they end up kicking a field goal that was just a 25-yarder.
Why? Doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, I'll tell you one
touchdown.
thing. I like that as a fan. There's punting from the 38-yard line. You should fire the coach immediately.
Yes.
Is there any more frustrating?
4th and 10. I mean, that's
what are you going to do?
Yeah, no,
What's your option?
I get it.
Yeah, the analytics there tell you that you only gain like 18 yards of field position, so it's not worth punting in that weird spot.
But an indoor stadium, isn't a 55-yard field goal kind of easy?
Well, he could have made that probably.
But he had already missed on the opening drive.
Yeah.
He missed a 40.
He had missed one.
7-yarder or whatever.
He looked a little nervous all night, Cairo Santos.
He was the only offense for the Bears. Good thing he recovered, or else this really would have been a bad
Justin
game.
Fields said that at the game, too. He was like, hey, I recovered just like our kicker recovered.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. They didn't score a touchdown.
After he missed that first one, they went to his face, and he was mumbling curse words to himself. I'm like, oh, this could be a long night.
Here's our second Marcus Peters mention of the morning. The Raiders released the veteran corner yesterday after benching him in the first half of Sunday's loss to the Chiefs. And the Dolphins are signing Jason Pierre-Paul, who was on the Saints practice squad. Didn't know that after losing Jalen Phillips to a torn Achilles. It is the worst loss of LeBron's career, 138-94 in Philadelphia last night.
What needs to change in order for that not to happen again? A lot.
LeBron did not give any specifics, though. Joel Embiid led Philly with 30 points, 11 boards, and 11 assists.
Surprised you're not gloating about this.
I am so off regular season NBA right now.
Except for when
the fact that the Lakers would go out and clearly, once they got down, they obviously mailed it. I was watching the football game. The other thing, during the football game, they were playing in-season tournament ads for the NBA. The fact that the NBA is trying to push this to me makes me like it
working,
even less.
By the way,
it's not. If you don't work for NBA PR and you're following the in-season tournament, there's something deeply wrong with you.
Well, something's deeply wrong with a lot of people because the in-season tournament has been extremely popular. The games
Get
have
out
been
of
good. Yeah, I know.
Rick Carlisle last night said the Pacers lost, and he said like it was like a letdown game because they just were ramped up for Saturday, their in-season game, and the guys didn't respond to a regular game last night.
Again, he's employed by the NBA. Give me a neutral fan who says that.
I was actually happy that they were running the ads because I learned that the finals are on December 9th or something. I was like, wait a minute, that's like happening next week.
We have like clinching scenarios now at a group play.
You would like this bogus?
Not even a little bit.
I think the fact that there are ads during the NFL game that they have to remind me of this says to me like, oh, I'm being marketed to. I hate this in-season tournament.
What do you think all marketing is?
Well, I mean, the fact that
it's the holiday season, for goodness sakes. This is about to get crazy.
They don't have to run an ad during a football game saying, hey, the NBA finals are coming up. I think the fact that it's a non-competitive, weird in-season tournament, I can't stand this
thing.
They
can't run an ad for the NBA finals because it's in June.
But that's my point is you don't have to remind fans that there's something value of winning the NBA finals. You have to remind fans, hey, we have this new in-season tournament thing with the weird courts. You guys like this? It doesn't strike you? This is basically glorified summer league. Who cares who wins?
Have you not watched ESPN at all during April, May, June? All you see is NBA Finals starts in this date. Like, are you kidding me? They don't market the NBA Finals.
Also, the other thing they market is the NFL draft. Like, I feel like I'm at a countdown clock.
This is what they do
for 3 weeks.
You guys like this, so you guys are all in on the in-season tournament?
I'm going to watch the finals.
I'm not going to watch 1 second of that finals, and I refuse to talk about it. Yes, I am not an employee of the NBA. Therefore, I do not have to buy their PR crap.
Wait, so you're really upset about the in-season tournament?
Yes, I am.
You really sat there and watched Josh Dobbs throw 4 interceptions and a 12-10 game. You want to talk about mediocrity and unwatchable products? Give me a break. That was unwatchable last night. That was horrendous.
Unwatchable. Then why did 18 million people tune in as compared to 1,800 to watch the Lakers Sixers?
All have a gambling addiction.
Right. That's why.
Because there's except for last night, there's urgency to the NFL. The NBA is putting up this fake product. I really believe that. I know they have load management rules, but you see the game last night with the Lakers. You think they were trying after they got down?
I watched Tommy DeVito and Bailey Zappi playing on Sunday. I watched Justin Fields and Josh Dobbs, the astronaut, a guy who literally is more known for astrophysicism than playing quarterback.
Why would you have Sunday ticket? Why on earth would you watch the Patriots Giants when you had the Texans Jags on?
Well, that's what I didn't watch Patriots Giants, but guess what? A lot of people did. In fact, I had guests saying, "Hey, you want to turn on the Giants game?" And I'm like, I guess I have no choice because you're asking me. I'm a generous host. So here we go. Yeah. I had to go back to it at the end of the last drive.
That and the Blondies? When's the invite, DJ? We get to watch crappy football and eat dessert? Anyway.
Do you have a dump button in your house, or can Maggie talk freely?
Curses fly freely. It's all good.
You should see me off the air. Oof. What was I going to say? Yes. In-season tournament.
Button? No. I mean, I'm going to watch the finals on like Perloff, but I don't.
Do you watch the Summer League finals? Because that is more meaningful.
It's actually a good thing. That's a good idea to have a dump button. Like Pete follows you around your regular life. So as you're about to curse somebody out, it's like,
But like the in-season tournament has been a success. Like this idea that is ludicrous. Like people are watching.
People are watching.
Players are playing a lot harder. It's definitely working.
I think that it is working to a certain extent. I'm curious to see with a Saturday night final in the middle of holiday season, like what are the ratings going to be on that game?
Right.
I'm curious about that.
I'm not. They're going to be terrible. I'll tell you right now. There's no need to be curious. It's going to be 3 million.
And like I guess EJ watches infinite more basketball than I do. But to me, it's hard to gauge. Like, the Celtics are just good. So, like, are they actually playing harder in their Tuesday and Friday games? And the Nuggets didn't survive group play, right? So, do they not care? Like, I don't know actually where you find the proof other than the players randomly saying, hey, I want to win the $500K for the poor guys on the end of the bench.
The whole conversation was there's not competitive basketball until April.
Right.
And that these games before that are unwatchable. Again, besides the courts being terrible, you watch these games on Fridays and Tuesdays, they're clearly better. We had 2 fights. We've had game-winning shots.
I'm glad you mentioned that. The one fight, the main fight, came off a game that wasn't an in-season tournament game. The T-Wolves Warriors fight started 2 days before in a regular game. So they weren't fighting in that game, but they were trying to win $500,000.
You think Draymond knows when the in-season games are or not? He's putting people in chokeholds no matter what day of the week.
He said he had no regrets, so there's good point there.
Right, no regrets. Bogish, thank you. We will hear from you more next hour before we get caught up on more in-season tournament. College football, guys, that's what we're talking about next. The one team that absolutely does not deserve to be in the top 4. We'll get to that in a minute. Do not move. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Just taking a look quickly ahead to the SEC championship game this weekend, Perloff. And right now, Georgia is a 6-point favorite in this game. Now, it took a miracle, let's call it what it was, for Alabama to win and beat Auburn in the Iron Bowl. They really had no business winning that game at the end, but an amazing Jalen Milroe pass to Isaiah Bond. I mean, an all-time moment in the Iron Bowl, the greatest college football rivalry that we have. At least that was
keep
my...
Selling that narrative.
Listen, that game helped me with that, with our conversation from last week, our great debate from last week. But, you know, to me, a 6-point spread in this game, I understand what they're doing because Alabama is, you know, still a talented team and all that. I do not see Alabama winning this game, and I don't know how you could put Alabama's any way into the top 4, even if you had like all the chaos, right? Like, is there any world where a 2-loss Alabama team who lost to Texas and would lose to Georgia, let's say it's a close game, if there's maximum chaos, is it possible they could back in? I do not think so.
There's zero chance of that.
And there's never been a 2-loss team. But at the same time, I don't even think that Alabama, quite frankly, would deserve to be in the top 4.
Well, I mean, the real question is, would a 1-loss Alabama definitely make it? Because there's a scenario, forget the 2-loss Alabama, they're out. The 1-loss, you have 4 undefeated teams right now. So if they beat Georgia, then I assume that you jump a 1-loss Alabama team into the top 4, right? You would think.
I think that the Georgia win would probably be considered so quality that, or you leave both of the SEC teams out.
Well, because
that would be wild.
That's the real scenario because you have Michigan undefeated, they're in. Washington, if beats Oregon, they're in. Florida State, if they win the ACC title game, they're in. Then you have Alabama and Texas. That's the scenario I want. Forget this 2-loss. I want 1-loss Alabama to jump 1-loss Texas. Because that would prove that there's no consistency whatsoever. Because they say, we want you to schedule tough teams early in the season. But then they're saying, but they don't really count in the finals. Because Texas won in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah, by
so
10.
I want to see the committee say, you know what? We don't care about that. We're putting Alabama in.
But here's the thing, though. Alabama and Texas, they're both big draws. Like, they're both big national programs with high profiles. Obviously, Bama's been way more successful recently, but it's not like you're deciding between Alabama and TCU.
Yeah, no, Texas, exactly. Texas is a glamour program who hasn't been in a while. I think that'd be cool. But I do think, I mean, you know Alabama would jump them.
Okay, but what about, why all of a sudden would you assume that Georgia would be out?
Well, that's a great question because Alabama's got to be in over Georgia if they win the SEC title. Ooh, that's interesting. You're telling me that they could keep Georgia in and not put Alabama in?
It's a 2-time national champion who has, has been undefeated in the regular season. I don't know.
Well, they didn't play anyone. I think you got to hurt them for their lack of scheduling. I know there was a reason. I think they were supposed to play Oklahoma, and Oklahoma jumped to the SEC. But I think you got to ding them for that.
Okay, but we already know this committee really values just the SEC in general, right?
Yeah,
so just
fact.
beating your SEC schedule could be enough. I mean, case in point, how did Tennessee stay in the top 25 so long? All these things.
My favorite scenario is somehow everybody loses and Ohio State gets back in the Final Four like last year, and Ryan Day wins a national title, and people say, you know what, that's nice, but we want to fire you because you didn't beat Michigan. If I could write the script for the movie, that's what I would do.
Let's go to the phones, 855-212-4CBS. Sean is in Oregon. Hey, Sean, how you been, dude?
Hey, pretty good. Good morning, you guys.
How's it going?
If Alabama can get in there, that'd be incredible. That's America's team. You know that.
Yep.
Well, what do you mean they're America's team?
Well, I think when we think of good college football teams, Alabama's right there at the top. And America, we can say we like underdogs. We like the story.
Yep.
We like underdogs winning once in a while. But we're front runners. We're front runners in the nation. We're front runners in the world. I mean, this is the United Federation of Plants, USA.
Sean, I agree with you on the sentiment. Thank you.
Yeah.
Good to hear from you. Oh, by the way, Sean, you have a show bet with Perloff, don't you?
I do.
I thought we canceled that when Aaron Rodgers got hurt.
No, we didn't. You tried to cancel that. I said, what about Tua? You guys never thought Tua was going to make it to the end.
Fair point.
You put your money
I still
on
don't think Tua is going to make it to the end.
No one thought Tua would.
You put your money on an old man, Aaron Rodgers. They better have a good backup scenario for that guy.
Yeah.
Anytime you have an old man being a quarterback like that, you better have a good backup plan.
I know, and a single tear just rolls down EJ's cheek.
So wait,
Sean,
well, I know the bet was that the Jets would end up in the top 2 in the division, and I'm going to lose that clearly. So what do I have to do?
it was
I made
something.
it super easy on you. I said all you got to do is just sign me a little 8x10 or a little picture saying
Done.
how awesome Sean in Oregon is.
No, Sean, you beat me 2 bets in a row handily.
Sean,
handily.
wait, hold on. I'm glad you called, though, because I got to put you on hold so EJ can get the best address that we can send this to. Send this headshot to. We'll throw in some other goodies and stuff in there, too.
Go Ducks.
There you go, Sean. Good luck to your Ducks in the Pac-12 title game.
Oh, man. Back to that Alabama thing. I do agree with Sean. They'll obviously be the highest rating, although Texas could make a good rating story too, especially the dream scenario is that they pull a Tua where all of a sudden Arch ends up in the national title game. Arch Manning.
Arch got in the last game in garbage time.
I just think Texas would be a great story too. So it's not like they're knocking out a mid-level Big 12 team. Sorry, that's what Big 12 is.
So it's interesting about America's team. Is Alabama America's team? I do think people tune in. Is Notre Dame, though, if we're just saying on balance, not this year, obviously Notre Dame's not getting in, but on balance, do more people tune in because you have people who love Notre Dame and people who love to hate Notre Dame?
I think so, but I don't think college football, there's such an imbalance between the Cowboys and everybody else ratings-wise. I don't think there's a college football team that does that. Because Deion was the highest-rated games for a long time this year, not Notre Dame.
We have some Deion news to get to. That will happen later on in the show. Alabama in the top 4. Do you see it happening? 855-212-4CBS. Coming up, news on our show bet.
You're in a 5-minute break. 30 seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
She can put away a large pizza by herself. He's allergic to cheese. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Wow, what a game last night. If you did not stay up, you missed a field goal fest. It was 12-10 was the finale. This was not one of the tapes you're going to be sending to Canton, Ohio, but that doesn't mean, Perloff, that there aren't major implications from this game. Hey, welcome to the show, by the way. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. It is Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio. So here's the thing. This was not a pretty game offensively. If you want to credit the defenses here, you're totally within your right. The Bears defense was flying around. They forced Josh Dobbs into 4 turnovers. Count them up, 4. A lot of those off of deflections, but nonetheless, the Bears offense could not capitalize on these turnovers. Only 3 points off of turnovers. And the Vikings defense forced Justin Fields into 2 fumbles here. So it really was a moment here for the defenses to take center stage. However, there's a big decision that the Bears have to make at the end of the season when it comes to Justin Fields. Yeah. And I do not think that Fields has done enough to show the front office you should not draft a quarterback with that Carolina Panthers pick that we own, no matter where it is. If it's going to be in the top 5, Perloff, it's not like Carolina's about to go on a run. They might get a new coach bump, but they're not going on a run. I think that Justin Fields, his career in Chicago is over. At the end of the season, it's going to be new coach, new quarterback. Yeah. And this is the end for Fields in Chicago, not the end forever.
I don't think that Justin Fields' future exists in a vacuum. I think it all depends on where that draft pick is. Because if they fall, everyone says there's 2 quarterbacks in this draft, Caleb Williams and Drake May. If they fall to 3, it's a much different decision. And right now, Carolina is 1-10. They're the worst record in the NFL. But Arizona and New England both have 2 wins. And we saw it every year. We see it. Basically, a team comes on strong at the end of the year. Remember, the Texans won that game with Lovie Smith and knocked themselves out of the number 1 pick. Turned out okay.
Turned out to be the best thing that ever happened to
Turned
him.
out the luckiest thing. I'm telling you,
Give Lovie a raise.
And the Panthers have no reason to tank, so they could easily sneak in a win. And then they're right there with Arizona and New England. If the Bears fell to number 3, I think this is where we disagree. I don't think it's so simple to get rid of Justin Fields for the 3rd quarterback in the draft, whoever that might be.
Yeah, I still think it happens. And listen, they have another pick that's going to be what? Where the Bears have 4 wins right now.
They're actually at 4 right now. They're tied at 4-8 with Washington and the Giants, and then the Bucs and the Jets and the Chargers and the Titans all have 4 wins. So they're right in a big mix between 4 and 10.
Listen, there may be a scenario, I don't know if I would advise for this, but there is a scenario where, say they lose out on the number 1 overall pick, but they do like number 2 with Drake May. You've got premium pick that you could move up and you could snag that pick again. I don't know if I'd advise for that because that can end up burning you. But
that's true.
But that at least is an option. Like, here's the thing. You're going to have to decide on Justin Fields at the end of the year if you want to pick up the 5th-year option. And even beyond that, if you don't draft a quarterback, you're essentially saying to Fields, we want you to be our quarterback now. We passed with 2 high picks to keep you as our QB, and he then gets a lot of leverage here.
Well,
I'm not saying he would pull Kyler Murray, but he could.
Would it be more likely that he'd be like Jordan Love, who signed a 2-year, $26 million deal, basically replacing the franchise tag, or Daniel Jones, who got a lot more money, but it's only 2 years? So I don't think they're going to give him a Kyler Murray 100 whatever million guaranteed. I think they do a short term. The tryout could continue. I don't think they're going to commit to him. Okay. In fact, I'm almost certain they won't commit to him, but they could continue this tryout
I think there's this idea that if the Bears somehow draft Marvin Harrison Jr., that he's just going to come in and all of a sudden make an offense that's never really been good.
Yeah.
All of a sudden they're going to be amazing.
So your plan is for the Bears, let me get this right, to trade up to number 2 to take a North Carolina quarterback.
No.
Like they did with Mitch Trubisky. And how'd that work out, Maggie?
Well, not awesome. They did go to the playoffs once with Trubisky, but again, not
come
awesome.
on.
But it's going to be over, and it is over for Fields in Chicago. So you are welcome to weigh in on that. 855-212-4CBS. Have you seen enough for Justin Fields to, warrant the organization passing on a quarterback with one of these top guys? Our boss is here.
So disappointed in you.
Spike
guys, to
Eskin
be
is in the
honest
house.
with you.
Dude, come on. Now, let's set up for the audience, just in case they were following the blow-by-blow of what's been going on the last couple days.
Yeah.
So, Perloff, diehard Eagles fan. I, of course, is the diehard Buffalo Bills fan. They played each other. Now, you don't have to be Troy Aikman to realize that these two teams right now are on slightly different trajectories. The Eagles are the best team in the NFL with the best record, and my Buffalo Bills are spiraling. They've already fired their offensive coordinator. When Perloff and I made a show bet on the outcome of this game, of course we would be betting this show bet with the spread.
No, of course you wouldn't.
Of course we would, Spike.
Maggie.
Spike, here's the thing. We put it out
I
on
almost
Twitter.
don't want to let you set this up because I'm so mad at you guys.
What do you mean?
Wait, you guys. Why are you roping me into
Because
this?
I walked into EJ. EJ's been executive producer for what, 3 weeks or something? He got his first taste of, I walked in the studio yesterday. I was like, what is this? This spread? I was like, new rule. That's not happening anymore. And
new rule. It never should have happened in the first place. By the way, it didn't happen. We never set it up that way.
Yes,
Maggie
we
said
did.
it after the loss. She said the spread
I
counts.
put the spread on the tweet, and Perloff and I did talk about the spread before the game.
Maggie, let me ask you this. Just me to you here.
Yeah.
Okay, so spread was Eagles -3?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so what you're saying is, if the Eagles had won the game, you, diehard Buffalo Bills fan,
Yeah.
Perloff, diehard Eagles fan.
Yeah.
If the Eagles had won the game by 2 points,
I would
then
do it.
Perloff would have you would have
yes,
covered.
I would have covered it.
So Perloff would have had to wear Bills stuff
Yes.
after the Bills lost to the Eagles.
Spike,
What are we doing?
This is what the spread means. This is the built-in little
Everybody's
bit
got to dress up. Everybody's got to dress up. Everybody loses today.
What do you mean,
You have to
everybody
dress up.
does-
You have to dress up.
Yeah.
EJ's got to dress up like a Bengals fan. Bilatti's got to dress up like a Browns fan.
What is this,
Everybody's got to dress up.
Halloween?
Yes.
You're out of control, man. This is not
Browns
right.
fan. You can't bet the spread on a pride bet.
It's a push.
No.
It's a push.
No.
It's null and void. I know this is not what the show needs or whatever, but that's what it is.
Spike, it's way worse than you think, actually.
Oh, really?
Before the game, she said, you really should give me 4.5 points because the spread is inaccurate because Vegas loves the Bills too much.
It's
She
true.
tried to juice up
Alternate
the spread to 4.5.
guys.
I am holding. I know you're trying to. I'm not letting you off the hook. Everybody here is responsible. There's 4 people here working on the show, plus Cap, plus Bogish. Everybody's responsible. Everybody's responsible for allowing this to happen. You let it happen.
I didn't let it happen. I argued vehemently
You
that
let it happen. You both lose. I think you both should. For you guys letting it happen, I think you should both pay up on the bet. And moving forward, there is no scenario in which a pride bet should be with the spread.
Okay, but Spike, I'm at a disadvantage here because my team is not good this year. They're going into Philly.
Wide right. Wah, 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 wah.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
No, more shrapnel.
to be fair, you really should have won on Sunday as well.
Thank you, Perloff. I understand that. You know, the Bills playing the Eagles. They're playing the fans, apparently, who are the death threats to our defensive ends.
Oh,
and the referees.
Throw me into a table. Blah, blah.
All right. Well,
chicken wings. Blah, blah, buffalo.
Have you ever seen 2 mayors bet on a Super Bowl, but bet with the spread?
Yeah.
We'll send our favorite food to you if you guys cover. Come on.
Is my job at stake here?
Your job is always at stake.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how this works. My job's at stake. This is why I'm trying to hold you to this standard. There's radio, I guess, but up here, I'm trying to hold you to a standard of excellence, not a standard of we only lost by 2.
No, you don't even have to say it, Spike. If you went to HR and said, I'm firing this person because they wanted to have the spread on this bet, they would totally understand.
Truly, HR asked me to fire you.
I understand.
I had to stand up for you.
All
They've
those
already
emails
said.
went back and forth to the Spicy Nuggets. I'm so in with HR right now. I'm invited to birthday parties. I got their Christmas party coming up.
Wait, where's our HR located, by the way, for this, our parent company?
It's right down the hall. Well, right down the hall.
Isn't the parent company
in
Philadelphia?
Yes.
Yeah, they're not in Buffalo, Maggie. HR is not going to help you out with this.
Again, the deck stacked against the Buffalo Bills and me. This is why I needed the points.
Wow. Thurman Thomas forgot his helmet. Wow.
Oh my God. The old stuff's really coming up. Okay, well, I'll take it under advisement.
Wait, actually, no.
You're kind of the
I'll
you
leave it
boss.
to you all to figure it out. I'm not. I don't.
But why are we
you've
all
worked
catching
for me.
strays though here? Like Maggie put out a tweet that said nothing about a spread except putting the number on there. Nobody assumed that she was going with the spread until she walked in here.
EJ. If you want the job executive producer, I told you leading into this, that makes you essentially the boss of the show. I say that to every producer here. You are essentially the program director of the show. If it happens, it's on you. So it's on you. And Pete, you've been here a long time.
Yes.
It's on all of us. It's on me. It's on America.
I've sat here and discussed for the last 48 hours.
Yeah.
So,
all right. Well,
Spike, what are you going to make?
Things.
What are you going to make EJ and Bilotti wear? I like this idea. EJ's a Jets fan. How about Patriots gear?
Oh.
Now everyone's dressing up.
How am I in this?
Yeah.
I came in on Monday and said, this is ridiculous. We can't do this.
The minute you accepted the job, you were in it.
To be fair, it's been 3 against 1 with Bogish, 4 against 1, like staunchly. It's been a landslide.
How many people are in America? All those people
and,
too are against
and
you.
all the Weedos and the coffee drinkers and all of our callers and everyone on social media who's very upset with me right now.
This feels very Bills, by the way, that somehow one Bills person screws something up and now we all suffer.
Yeah, it's a total loser way to approach it.
Wait a minute, you're saying our loserness like permeates you? You're a Jets fan. Your loserness permeates everything.
No, that says a lot.
Now the Bills didn't lose 4 straight Super Bowls. They covered in 2 out of 4 Super Bowls. Let's celebrate that.
An important distinction, which I also said yesterday, it's more impressive to go to 4 straight than to win 1.
I was just kidding, by the way. There's no way they covered in 2 of those games.
Not the Cowboys.
I do think it is more impressive to go to 4 straight than to win 1.
Oh, I was called
I
a
think that's
loser
fair.
for that.
Get out of here.
I think that's fair.
I was called a loser for that.
Well, I mean, has any other team been to 4 straight?
No.
Did the Vikings go to 4? They just lost 4.
They didn't go to 4
They
straight.
didn't go to
They
4
lost
straight.
4, though.
I also said that Bradley Cooper is a fake fan because sit out in the rain. Okay? I'll sit in there in the luxury box with the owner. And he's had 3 good movies. I did add A Star Is Born.
The thing about Philly and Bradley Cooper is like, let's not pretend like he is the only famous person to have ever come from this city. The way that Philly treats Bradley Cooper is that he is the only person to have emerged from our little town or whatever. Enough with Bradley Cooper. Bring Boys to Men out or something. Or there's plenty of famous people from Philadelphia. We don't need to celebrate.
Ryan Phillippe came on the show.
Yes.
He sits in the stands.
Well,
Cruel Intentions was better than any movie Bradley Cooper's ever done.
Sirianni said that Trout was there.
Trout sitting in the front
he's
row
not from Philadelphia.
with a dog mask on
Oh my God!
in the
Thank
rain.
you, Spike. Agreed with me.
No.
I said that.
Yes, that's Philly.
No, it's not.
South Jersey is Philly. We claim all of South Jersey.
We're not talking about Cherry Hill. I mean, I don't mean to get into.
The people in North Dakota don't care about this right now.
50 miles away from Philadelphia. Is Allentown Philadelphia? Of course not. It's 50 miles away.
They called me a madman.
It's
What about
50
Harrisburg?
miles. No, Harrisburg's not Philly.
Okay, one other question for you while you're here. Our boss, Spike Eskin, is here. I probably should have reintroduced you a couple times.
Sorry.
But Spike is here, and now we're doing definitive things. I'm going to be fired if I don't pay off the stupid bet. Now Perloff
You might be
has got to
fired
do
anyway,
it.
is what Spike just said.
I know.
Go ahead.
Now I'm suddenly feeling nervous. EJ, Peter, now involved in this too, even though they're just innocent bystanders. Like, once we bring Spike in, all hell breaks loose.
Yeah.
However, so you said Bilotti, everyone's kind of a boss here. Bilotti was making executive decisions on the show earlier today, and I just want to get out in front of this before you hear from the affiliates about what went down earlier this morning. I've already been dumped twice today. And dumped, not like my boyfriend or my husband dumped me.
Right.
The audio dumped out. Bilotti, safety net, dumped 2 things that I said today, and I'm not sure they were dump worthy.
Well,
now
I don't
you're
know that
here.
I will tell him in his ear.
No,
Okay.
I can explain around it because the audience needs to know too.
Okay. All right.
So if you're just joining us, I was dumped earlier today by Bilotti for 2 reasons. One, I used the proper and explicit term for a sex toy that Bills fans threw at Tom Brady over the years.
Does the word start with a D?
It does. That got dumped.
Your face right now.
I mean,
Spike suddenly turning a shade of red that we've never seen.
So you
All right,
can't.
boss, what's up with that?
As long as you're not using it in an explicit manner, I think you could probably say the word. But my rule with dumping is like, we're not doing the Howard Stern show here. If it sounds like you might need to dump it, you should probably dump it. So I support Pete in that.
Okay.
In that dump.
How about the second one? Now, the second one, I
used a different explicit word for the same thing.
It started with a V. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
So this one was,
Wait,
I spelled out sex.
That
starts
word you
with a
could
V.
say.
Okay, whatever. The other one, this is what I said. We were also talking about bad fans. Again, same conversation. And there was a chant that Jets fans did about 10 or 12 years ago. Very not of this era, would not fly in the Me Too generation and movement. But it, instead of JETS, Jets, it was a word for the female anatomy that was also 4 letters. Starts with a T.
No, not that word. Not that word.
Starts with a T.
As in,
slang
Jets
term.
fans
Like
are
a slang
famous.
term.
Yeah,
Jets fans are famous for show us something. That's what they do.
Oh, the above the waist.
Above the waist, yes.
Where your head went, that's a definite.
Sorry, it's still the female anatomy.
Yeah, no, that's definitely against the rules.
Okay, well, that got
Even to spell, but Maggie said spelling it out might give her a pass. If you spell a curse word.
It's not a curse word. It's a slang word.
No, you can't use that word. Now,
Okay.
There
just FYI, the affiliates might call.
There is a
but
different.
Pete dumped it. So.
Pete dumped it. Yes.
2 for 2. Thank you.
Wow. What's
Kick
happening?
David a
it's the
Well,
Bills
go to the
lost.
morning. All of a
that-
sudden, it's like it's like the Opie and Anthony show in here or something.
It's that
Like, what's
bet with the
going
Bills.
on?
She's been totally off balance since
Honestly,
the Bills lost on Sunday. There's been random curse words, tirades.
I'm just telling you, we were like this in the afternoon. Just more people are listening now.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just a bigger
Wait,
time slot.
But I kind of disagree. If you spell out a curse word, you can do that around your kids. You don't say the word,
Yeah.
you spell it out, and it's a full pass as a parent.
I'm sorry. Is that the rule?
Yeah,
So whatever you can do around your kids, you can do on the radio.
4-year-old. Yeah. Or you have kids in the car. You know.
Yeah, kind of. I thought it was.
Nah, I don't think so. I think Pete made the right call on both of them.
Thank you
All right,
very
Pete.
much. I appreciate it.
Good for you.
So does that mean
Thank
Pete
you.
doesn't have to dress up on Friday like EJ?
Yeah.
Wow.
Actually,
This is unbelievable.
I am
to
honored.
me.
Thank
Pete
you.
just saved your bacon. Actually,
Yeah.
I think saved
Okay.
saved the show. Pete is excused,
I appreciate that. Thank you very
and
much.
in
Pete,
fact,
thank you.
Pete has to decide what EJ has to do.
That's
What is going on here?
Oh, let me think about this one.
This is amazing. Spike comes in, he's like a wizard. It's like, and his say is final, which means I have to dress up now.
Wait,
Which I'm
but can you
bummed
say at the ground rule, is it too far to make EJ get a Tom Brady tattoo or something like that?
I would think, yeah, tattoo's probably too far.
Okay, something Patriots fans, because I know he hates it.
Yeah, I don't. Whatever
sure-
you guys decide is fine with me, as long as it isn't like
permanent.
or the words that you said, or nothing permanent,
Yeah,
or
anything with a sex toy.
nothing too spicy, not too much peanut butter or whatever.
Yeah, we've kind of.
Yeah.
I think we've gone to the end of the road on those.
We're going to need you back later. There's a big fight on the show about whether the in-season tournament in the NBA is any good.
Oh, we
And I
don't
know
have
you have
time.
feelings on that. We
Yeah.
got to get you back on
Different
that
time.
one.
Yeah.
Spike Eskin, our boss, also host of the Rights Ricky Sanchez podcast. Say the name. Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Appreciate that. Except now I've got to dress up in the Eagle stuff,
And now I do. So
and now
thanks.
EJ has to dress up too. And Perloff has to dress up too. So I got to get my Zubaz for you and my Bill stuff.
Somehow Maggie won this. Somehow.
I did.
We brought in Spike. It's like bringing in the principal and thinking, ha, Maggie's going to get caught. And
Now
now
we have-
all of a sudden we're all on punishment. This is just like my childhood growing up as the oldest of, 4 kids.
Now we all have
Except
detention.
me. Except me. Thank you, Maggie.
Do we have time?
Honestly, thank you, Pete, because I didn't know you couldn't say those words on the radio.
Do we have time to get a Pat the Patriot outfit here for EJ?
Well, what I was thinking, I'm sure Gelb's got some Patriot stuff.
Oh, yeah.
He almost certainly now, Gelb is like 6'4". So
He might have the Pat the Patriots outfit or know somebody that has one.
Wait, EJ, is that the team you hate?
yes,
Well,
that is the team I hate the most.
I think you
without
deserve
question.
it then.
And by doing that, by being an innocent bystander in this entire thing.
And meanwhile, have you heard me protest once about wearing Zubaz?
Because-
I've been dying to wear Zubaz around the place.
You've been also dying, I think, to wear my Bill stuff. For a
Oh,
while.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, who doesn't like the Bills? The Bills are your harmless little brother.
Yeah, well, if we had won that game,
I know it is mostly a Philly thing, but like shout out to Spike. The only thing that helped me here was him saying that Trout is not from Philly. Thank God. That was an argument from
That
a
is
month
so
ago.
ridiculous. So if a basketball player is from Newark, New Jersey, he's not a New York area
Absolutely
player?
not. Absolutely not.
He's a New Jersey player.
Yes, absolutely. As a New York basketball player and fan, no, we don't claim Jersey. Get out of here.
How does this work with L.A.? Because I feel like L.A., you
They
guys
claim
are
everybody.
from L.A., but you could be from an hour outside of L.A.
Yeah.
No, it's weird.
You're telling me Paul George isn't from L.A. now?
Well, he says that. A lot of people will complain about him being from Pomona. I don't know what's bad about Pomona, but apparently that's a thing.
Where's Aaron Rodgers from? Chico?
Bay Area. That's
Yeah.
what I would say.
He's from Chico, isn't he?
He's from Chico,
I believe so, yeah.
I got news for you guys. That is not near any other city.
Well, San Francisco, isn't
Near
it?
the Bay Area.
It's
Right.
the Bay Area. Is Tom Brady from San Francisco or San Mateo?
San Mateo's 10 minutes.
I think of all those
Okay.
people being from the Bay Area. Like, I don't think of them as a city per se.
Although, what would Marshawn Lynch say about that from Oakland? You
Right,
know?
he's from Oakland.
Does he think that the suburban,
Great question.
San Francisco and Chico are 139 miles apart. Just so you guys are clear that Chico is not San Francisco.
San Mateo is more like San Jose,
San
right?
Mateo is 5 minutes outside of San Francisco.
Oh, I thought it was more like San
no,
Jose.
San Mateo is the closest suburb.
Okay.
Anyway, don't try and distract us, Maggie. You lost this bet hard.
Now we're all going down, except for Pete, who comes out roses. And
Spike
really saved
Spike
us.
did not hesitate on that. You deserve to be dumped there. We learned a lesson.
You know,
I think you learned a lesson.
Sometimes I don't know where the line is. I really don't.
No, I'm a little surprised.
Usually you do, but this time I didn't. I
Those
thought you
two
could say
were-
that
I
word.
thought they were at least discussion worthy. I don't think they were no brainers, but I do like Spike's advice. When in doubt, just get rid of it.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. All right, well, I guess we're all doing the bet. So now we've got to decide when. We've got to decide, well, we know where. Now we have logistics. How am I going to get all this Eagles stuff? Okay, 855-212-4CBS. How am I going to learn the Rocky scene? I need a couple days.
Because don't ask Perloff what song to sing because he won't know.
Doesn't know. I got to go to really
Actually, I've been
Buffet.
thinking about that, Roxy. You're going to be Adrian, and you're going to be in bed, and you're going to be like, come closer, come closer. What?
So
What?
weird.
Win.
There's no bed
What
here.
are we waiting for?
So you're Burgess Bear.
I'll play Rocky and Burgess Meredith. You could be Adrian.
I have to say random lines from Rocky 3 because I love Clover Lang, just
By the
to
way,
throw it in there.
Yesterday marked, I know we're late, the 38-year anniversary of Rocky 4, and they showed this scene on Twitter where Rocky's running the top of a mountain to train.
It's like the best scene.
Yeah, it is the most ridiculous training sequence of all
He's
time.
on the most steroids in the movie.
No,
Oh my
Drago
God.
was. You see the needle going in.
Yeah, I don't think they should have been testing both guys.
212-4CBS. All right, well, that's settled. Coming up, why are there not enough good head coaches in this league? We're going to get to the bottom of that. We also have more college football for you as well, including some major news with one of the hottest programs in the country. We've got that for you. It's Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
All right, welcome back to the Maggie and Perloff Show. The Defensive Player of the Week is sponsored by the Navy Federal Credit Union, who proudly serves the Armed Forces, DoD veterans, and their families. Their members are the mission. Learn more at NavyFederal.org. All right, Defensive Player of the Week, chosen by EJ. I know who he went with because he's one of EJ's favorite players. I already know who this is. It's Jesse Bates, the second Atlanta Falcons safety, who should be a Philadelphia Eagle if it was up to me. I think he's going to give it over Deron Bland because we've done Bland before.
Yeah, we
this
have
is
done
Jesse
Bland.
Bates' turn. He single-handed punched the ball out from Taysom Hill, was a huge play in the Saints game, and had a pick six, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, he was awesome. I think Jalen Johnson from last night also deserves some credit here. On 2 of the 4 interceptions, he was the reason.
Yeah, but those
Maybe 3 of the 4, actually.
I don't know. I mean, that game was so sloppy. I think that no one really deserves it because the quarterbacks played so badly.
Yeah, because the Falcons-Saints game was such a amazing football game.
Okay. I mean, listen, this is also Danielle Hunter last night for the Vikings
he
was a
amazing.
man on a mission. This has been a year of huge defensive performance. We had an argument yesterday. Does Deron Bland of the Cowboys win Defensive Player of the Year? And there's just a lot of great candidates. So every week we have a tough challenge.
Well, you want to know why? It's because the offenses got so out of line. And the offenses got so out of control that all of a sudden now the defense is like you had to. I think this is like a reaction to how much the offense the scoring was out of control. You know, this is the third year in a row when scoring is going to be down in the NFL. But anyway,
the new philosophy make them sort of go down the field slowly. There's more opportunities for turnovers,
and also what you saw last night, which is just bring the pressure on first and second down, and just really try to get these teams in third and long.
But you can't blitz a good quarterback. You can't blitz on Mahomes.
Really hard. Yeah. Anyway,
what do you got,
defensive player? Who is it?
Gas up the Civic. Perloff. The defensive player of the week is Victor Wembanyama, who had 6 steals and 4 blocks in a loss to the Nuggets on Sunday.
Historic stat line.
But he did have a 6 steal, 4 block stat line. So Victor Wembanyama is the defensive player of the week.
Never saw it coming.
What was the score of that game?
132-120.
Wait, 132?
Yep.
The team opposite the defensive player week scored 132 points in the NBA game.
Would have been 150 without him.
Yeah. They might have broke the scoring record if you could play.
No, that's just a Pacer game now.
That's so weak, dude. That's like giving Sean Bradley defensive player of the week every year because he had block shots.
He's a 7'5" guy who had 6 steals in an NBA game. And then he had 4 blocks to go with that. And he had 11 rebounds. I could throw that in there too.
Gas up the Civic.
Incredible.
Now the hashtag on this bet.
I mean,
Perloff has
honestly,
to drive to San Antonio to apologize to Wembanyama if Wembanyama wins Rookie of the Year. Hashtag gas up the Civic.
I'm telling you, I feel so much better about this bet now because Chet
Hashtag
Holmgren,
weird front seat.
Chet Holmgren can ball. I'm telling you, you could play all day. 14 losses on a row. Oh, whatever. By the way, what happened to Jesse Bates? I thought we were in this together.
Jesse Bates is my guy. I love Jesse Bates. He had a great game, but I was looking for historic performances over the week. And what Victor Wembanyama
6 blocks
did,
for a 7'5" dude?
Well, no, he had 4 blocks. He had 6 steals. So 6 steals for a 7'5" guy is unheard of.
I love it that you thought, you and AJ are in this together, that you both like
we like
one of the
same
best
player.
safeties in the league.
Nobody's a
you did
Jesse
this together
Bates
on
fan.
Myles Garrett, too?
Oh, come on. Jesse Bates? There's no Jesse Bates fans out there.
He was one of the highest paid free agents.
He went to the Falcons, so clearly the rest of the league was asleep because I'm like, why didn't anybody sign him? He's great.
I know.
So here's my
safety position.
Just real quick before we get to Bogus. What's the player comp for Victor Wembanyama? Is he a skinny Roy Hibbert? Is he a basically slightly taller Jared Allen? Because I'm not seeing it, guys. I'm sorry. He should be dominant. I know he's only 18 years old.
You know, there's bookmarking tweets. Whatever that is, I'm doing that mentally for what Perloff just said. What was it? Skinnier Roy Hibbert and taller Jared Allen? Okay.
And don't forget that last hour he said he is not in touch with NBA regular season basketball, but he's got the deepest of dives.
I watched Wemby.
Roy Hibbert's been retired for like 8 years.
I watched Wemby. Roy Hibbert's been retired for 8 years?
Probably at this point.
Pretty much, yeah.
This is like LeBron with the Miami Heat, Roy Hibbert.
Really? Roy Hibbert's been gone that long?
He left the Pacers and was like on the Lakers for a year, and that was it. And that was a long time ago. He's not been in the NBA for a while.
Deep dive. Roy Hibbert coming to you next. Andrew Bogish is here with headlines. Hopefully some football in these headlines, Bogish. Good morning.
Yeah, let's do some football. An aborted launch for Josh Dobbs last. Not only 3 points on the board well into the fourth quarter of Monday Night Football because he kept doing this.
From the 36, Vikings, here's a pass, and it's almost picked off, and it was deflected at the line. On that 1st and 10, it was ricocheted and intercepted by Gordon. Another ricochet interception by the Bears.
Kevin Harlan on a Westwood one.
This doesn't count as football.
4 interceptions, double the amount of times Maggie has been dumped this morning, so that's a lot. But the Bears kept settling
People are going to think my husband left me and I get dumped, and my audio got dumped by Pete, and rightfully so, apparently.
I mean, I don't know what your husband's standards are. Is he going to be disappointed in your potty mouth this morning?
He knows more than anything.
Okay.
Apparently, this was already a Supreme Court case, according to Thomas L. in the chat, about the George Carlin, the 7 dirty words,
right.
And I said one of them.
All right.
Oh, that's one of the dirty words? But that's
think
all
it's
changed.
one of them.
Now they curse on TV all the time.
I got to go back and watch that George Carlin bit.
A lot of that is cable. Let's keep that in mind. Cable and broadcasts are different.
That's true.
Wow, Bilotti, the fun police. Jeez.
He's reading the fine print.
Yeah, Bravo has no standards.
Did NYPD Blue start cursing and showing naked people.
That was a big deal back then.
It was also after a certain time at night. I think like after 10 p.m. you
right,
should say
right. It's the time that got
the
to.
S word. Yeah. What about 8:30 in the morning Eastern?
Well, that
Not
is the
safe harbor.
That is the problem when I watch my favorite Bravo shows. When they originally air at like 9 p.m., it's one thing, but at 2 in the afternoon, the replay, and they're dropping sex terms and curses or showing middle fingers of my kids walking by. There should be an early day
But
edit.
now it's a little different because of cable.
Well, no, my problem, forget that. When you're watching a football game, then some scary pilgrim comes on who's going to kill everybody. The horror movie commercials during football.
Wait a minute. We're glossing over this. We're glossing over the fact that Bogusch is watching Real Housewives reruns at 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
I'm more of a Below Deck, Summer House, Winter House.
I'll watch Below Deck.
Right?
First of all, why are the people... Oh, don't get me started. Yeah, I'm with it, Bogusch. By the way, I love that there are 4 men on this show who are all into reality TV, and Maggie judges us on all that.
I can't watch that.
By the way, the Golden Bachelor is getting really emotional, too.
Now you've lost me.
I'm not watching that.
No,
these yachts and Below Deck...
I got to catch up.
These yachts and Below Deck,
for you,
they're some of the best looking people working on these yachts. I've been on yachts and they do not. Well, I've been on boats. I've been on boats.
Working on them?
No, I've been on a cruise and it was nothing like, no, it's
yacht to a boat to a cruise one time.
It was a ferry.
I've been on the Staten Island ferry.
I was actually kayaking.
Actually, a dinghy.
You guys don't watch
it. Was a swim. He was swimming.
Does anyone watch Below Deck?
I was in a tub.
No, I'm
it's
not
basically
like
like
actually my girlfriend watches. I've seen seen some scenes. Yeah,
it's basically like modelly looking people hooking up and not paying attention to the clients.
Yeah, that's TV.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yes, Summer House is also pretty gnarly. I mean, you want to talk about explicit? I was watching the Martha's Vineyard version last summer, and I was surprised at what I was seeing.
More than Jersey Shore?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
That's old school.
I was my girlfriend was sitting there watching it, and I'm like, "Whoa! They were just doing it. Like it just happening. They didn't blur anything out. And they did it like 3 straight episodes."
EJ, that's the oldest you've ever sounded.
Doing it.
Look, Pete's been dumping everything, so I'm like, I'm going to try to make sure I can get this across.
I'm confused.
Yeah, good thing we have a PG version of EJ over here. Maggie, who knows what she would have said.
That's why I can't watch these shows.
Could we have dumped that?
I can't be trusted watching these shows.
Why we can't have you watching any of this stuff? Because you'll come on and talk about it, and we won't have a show. It'll just be 4 hours of dumped material.
I like that the test is the air. It's like, oh, can we say this on the air? And then say it on the air, and then maybe we dump it, maybe we don't.
This is my shoot first, ask question second. It's got me this far.
What if I spell it but with the letters out of order? Is that okay? No?
What is it, Saturday Night Live?
Spell it backwards.
Yeah. I mean, that would have to pass the test, right? Like a word jumble live on the air?
No.
No?
Well, I don't know. It depends upon what the word is.
Let's see what happens. So Josh Dobbs, the 4 picks, but the Bears kept settling for field goals. Justin Fields then fumbled twice in the fourth quarter. The first one led to a go-ahead touchdown pass from Dobbs to T.J. Hawkinson, but Minnesota did nothing with the second one, so Fields drove for a game-winning 30-yard field goal.
We're still talking
from
about this
Cairo
game?
Santos with 10 seconds left. It's a 12-10 win for the Bears, dropping the Vikings to 6-6. They have the last wild card spot in the NFC right
Vikings
now.
Should get 2 losses for that game.
A half game better than the Packers, Rams, and Saints. Texas A&M football unveiled new head coach Mike Elko yesterday. The hard work and the cliches begin now.
I say this to my players all the time. There is no button you push to get to the top of college football. There's a stair that you have to climb every single day to accomplish what you want to accomplish. Nobody will hand us anything. Not in this conference, not in this country, not in this era of college football. We're going to have to go out, we're going to have to work, and we're going to have to get it. We're going to develop a blue-collar mentality and understand that there are no shortcuts to success.
Yeah, so there are no shortcuts to success except...
We're going to roll up our sleeves, we're going to go to work every day, and we will accomplish amazing and great things here very, very quickly.
So we're going to go super slow, but cool things will happen not just very quickly, but very, very quickly.
He said winning championships.
Yeah.
I mean, there's one thing you play to the crowd a little LeBron James, not 5, not 6, not 7. Sometimes you got to hype people up, but you're like, we're talking about the expectations at Texas A&M are already outsized, and you come in the first press conference, you're like, we're winning it all.
Very, very quickly. But we're going to go slow.
You want to know? That's somebody who wants to be a former Texas A&M coach because that's the best job in America. Let's get this.
Get paid.
Oh my gosh, this is the best. You can just, set the expectation so high, and then when you inevitably do not meet that expectation, you become the best thing in the world, which is a fired Texas A&M coach.
Well, one thing I want to point out about Mike Elko, he is a New Yorker. He's from South Brunswick, New Jersey.
That is not New York.
That is so New York.
That is ridiculous.
But Mike Elko is also a Penn guy, so I like him. He is a good coach. This was not. Don't you give Texas A&M some credit? I know EJ has a problem with this program for going kind of low profile. I think what he says, I'm not going to do a shortcut. That means I'm not going to have 60 transfers like a certain coach out in Boulder, Colorado.
Oh, you think this was an anti-Deion speech?
I think he's saying we're going to roll up our sleeves and we're going to slowly build back this program to respectability.
But also quickly.
But also right away.
But A&M, well, I understand. But A&M has been a shortcut program where they're just going to pour in a ton of money, get Jimbo Fisher and win a title. Isn't this the direction you want to go? I know it's probably not going to work.
Okay, first of all, it seems like ChatGPT came up with this intro speech. It's like, computer, can you please tell me a speech for, a hardworking new football coach to come in and wow a bunch of rich donors. Also, the other thing, A&M, all the money in the world, right? This is what we've heard about with A&M. They're a rich school. You're paying $75 million for a coach to not coach there. And he's like, we're going to have a lunch pail mentality. It's like none of those people in this room have ever taken a lunch pail anywhere.
Those are caviar eating folks there.
This is a surf and turf crowd.
No. This isn't the Rockefellers of Vanderbilt. This is Houston. This is new money.
Not Houston.
This is A&M. This is old. This is such a different vibe than what you guys are describing.
What, fancy barbecue?
Have you guys hung out at Kyle
On the
Field?
side.
No, that's just all a front. The real money is there.
It's oil money, I know, but that's not how they come off.
Wait,
They're
hold
not
on,
caviar eating fans at all. Did you see the press conference? The entire room locked arms and started doing some weird A&M chant.
I know, they're all wearing suits and ties.
No, they're all wearing flannel.
By the way,
they're not wearing overalls.
Here was that very weird situation with the dancing or whatever this thing was. That was at a press conference. This was not a pep rally.
I know. But isn't it, though? Listen, here's the thing. That sounds a little bit weird. If you just took every single college football fan base and isolated all the stuff they do, it all sounds weird. Every soccer fan base, anyone who's got songs that they sing all together.
Yeah, but
it always feels a little culty.
I think some of the colleges push it a little far.
Yeah, I think there are cooler fan bases than others. Like I think SC fans are cool. Like they got Snoop Dogg on the sidelines. I think Miami fans are cool. Not a lot of us, but we are cool, I think.
Manziel made A&M pretty cool at the time.
But it wasn't the fans, it was him. It was the flashing the money signs and it was the hanging out with Drake.
Yeah.
And by the way, I don't know. SC fans?
A lot of celebrities. Like, Will
I know,
Ferrell,
but
like I think of SC, I think, that's a cool school.
Well, I think SC, and I think of a fan arriving halfway through the first quarter and complaining about traffic. I don't know. Where I think A&M, I think those guys are more diehard. But
I just think that they're actually like very fancy, rich.
This ain't UT. It's A&M. I think you're thinking of the school in Austin, possibly.
Bogus, you might have time for one more.
How about men's fourth-ranked UConn beat New Hampshire last night, 84-64. That's an NCAA record, 24th consecutive non-conference win by double digits.
Oh, they topped New Hampshire.
By just 20.
I really thought you were going to say that was a scorigami, by the way. When you announced the score, I'm like, oh, no, not again.
No.
Impossible.
So just if you're outside the Big
be
East,
this many.
don't play UConn.
I was like, how did we get to 84-64? Why has that never happened? I was just ready for it.
Thank you, Andrew Bogish.
My pleasure.
Appreciate that. Coming up, got to check in on one major college program losing recruits by the minute. What is going on? We'll fill you in next. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. So I was listening to the radio the other day, not our station, another station, and there was an urgent news story. Man caught stripping down at Disneyland in California on the It's a Small World After All ride. Now, have you ever been on that ride? They put you in a little boat, and you go through basically these gigantic puppets sing songs from around the world. It's a little trippy and a little weird. It has a reputation. It's one of the oldest rides.
Yeah.
They sing It's a Small World After All. This guy...
I thought that's the only song, and it's just over and over
Yeah,
again,
it's so annoying. But this 26-year-old man took off all his clothes. And I'm reading more details. The people, unfortunately, who were on the ride at the time, they stopped the ride for an hour and a half. So they were sitting there on their boats waiting for the police to sort out this naked man who'd gotten out of his boat and climbed in amongst the robots and was enjoying himself. No, not enjoying himself. Don't dump that, Bilotti. He was just being naked. So apparently there are all these little kids
that's
there.
Not that bad.
Little kids there saying, Mommy, Daddy, why is that man taking his clothes off? Now, I kind of understand it. If you're super high and it's a small world after all, you might do some weird things.
You might have the urge to take off your clothes. So here's the question. It took an hour and a half to get this guy in the situation under control.
Yeah.
Does that mean the music just kept going and you
Ooh, great
listened to It's
question.
a Small World After All on repeat for 90 minutes?
I'll have to find that out.
You'd have to put me in a straitjacket after that. I would be totally insane. You'd have to drag me off to a sane
I would
asylum.
never be able to see anything Disney. No Disney movies, no Disney Channel,
Exactly.
no Disney music. It'd all be over.
Do you, EJ, I know you don't have kids, but for the three of us, my kid's in a phase now where he wants to listen to the same song over and over and over again. Have you guys been through this with your kids?
I'm still doing that.
Oh.
I'm an adult.
Certain shows, yeah.
It's crazy. So, like, we'll be in the car, and I'll see we have, like, a 20-minute ride. And he's like, can I listen to my song? And I have to be like, sorry, it's broken. And then in a miracle, with 5 minutes left to go in the ride, I'm like, oh, here it is, actually. Mommy found it. I just can't listen to, you want to know the song it is?
Yeah.
Lollipop by the Cordettes.
Lollipop.
Yeah, he likes the
one with you,
that part. He thinks it's
great
funny.
song.
He's
I
4.
thought you were saying Lollipop Lil Wayne. I was like, what is going on there?
It's actually Candy Shop by 50 Cent. No, I'm just kidding. It's it's like the song from the 50s, and I can't listen to it for 20 minutes in a row. That's
torturous.
It's insane. I'll drive off the road.
Yeah, my son will roll out a song a bunch of times, but then we'll come back with a random song he heard maybe 3 weeks ago.
Right, and a callback.
And I'm like, oh, wow, okay, that song.
We have an issue where when my wife's phone syncs with the car, the same song comes on every time. And it's a Vampire Weekend song because it starts with 2 A's or something. It drives me insane. The second it comes on, I start screaming.
That happens to us, and it's two different things. One, it's like a random track from the musical Hamilton.
Aaron Burr.
It's
A-A-R-O-N.
No, it's 1776. I think it's
numbers
come
yeah.
first before.
3 of our first 8 songs are Hamilton, so I know exactly what you're talking about.
Super annoying. And then the other one was this random U2 song that if you don't have Apple Music but you plug the car in, it plays automatically as some kind of like marketing thing.
He's still doing that?
Yes, and now my kid's obsessed with U2. And not even the good stuff. Like not even Joshua Tree or something. It's like some random album from like 2014 U2. Like anyone cares.
They put it on everybody's iPhones regardless of whether or not you wanted it. I didn't know you were still suffering through that.
Awful.
That sounds terrible.
He's like, can I hear Bono? I'm like, oh man, no. Oh, let's hear a Lollipop song for the 1 millionth time. It's like lesser of two evils.
By the way, I'm reading some details about this guy who apparently this happens all the time at Disney World. I think the reason it took an hour and a half, because can you picture the security guards? Hey, Bill, go grab that naked guy. Basically, they're all standing around arguing over who's going to escort the naked man off. It's a small world. Yeah, happens all the time.
I did one last Thursday. It's your turn.
Apparently, this is just they have major behavioral problems, like random stuff. A lot of smoking weed going on.
Okay, but that's legal in California. But it's like if
not
you're
not at Disney World. It's not legal.
Well,
you would get kicked out for it.
If you're doing psychedelics, though, wouldn't Disney World be the worst place
or the best?
It's
place.
Like Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas type of stuff, wouldn't it be?
Yeah, but I think some people want that kind of weirdness.
You're going to be around all these kids and
Space Mountain. You guys ever been on Space Mountain where you zip around in the dark?
I know, but you got to wait online for 2.5 hours first.
That's why you get high.
The line feels like 5 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, what else are you supposed to do for 2 hours?
Yeah, just look at your hand in front of your face, waving back and forth.
Like and then that kind of jerk weirdo with the fast pass walks by you, and it's just sort of rubbing it in your face.
Galaxy's Edge on the psychedelics would probably be neat. That's a Star Wars angle of the Disney World now. Like that would be probably gnarly. I wouldn't be surprised if people did it for that.
There's got to be like a area of Disney World where they just put all the people having bad trips. Like you all go into one room and like listen to Pink Floyd together.
Yeah, I mean, and first of all, what kind of nerd would get really sick on a Disney World ride and maybe have to sit with his head between his legs for 45 minutes after that Mount Everest ride? If you think I'm pale now, you should have seen me. I did a 4D ride into a roller coaster and got sick. So if I was high, I would have died.
I love this. Billy Wolf in the chat said, Pete's kid starts to ask for the same song and he dumps them.
I love it too.
And we're all better for it.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. 45 seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
She once fell off a ski lift. He was called in for questioning. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
And hey, welcome to the show. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. It is Maggie and Perloff right here on CBS Sports Radio. I can just tell you, last night the Bears won 10-12. You didn't miss anything except for a lot of turnovers. The game was pretty inconsequential.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens down the road with Justin Fields, but we have a lot of time before that. I don't think he'll be the quarterback next year, but this Monday night game was really just not that great. So if you're at the water cooler today, you really didn't miss a whole heck of a lot.
Yeah, except my guy, Josh Dobbs, 4 picks. Not his fault. One was 4th down. I think that Cinderella story is dying, but they're 6-6. They could easily make the playoffs. They have winnable games. That 7 spot in the NFC is wide open.
Justin Jefferson coming back, I think, will help some things.
Huge.
And Kevin O'Connell, their head coach, was like non-committal about who's going to start next week. It's going to be Dobbs. You're really going to go to one of these backups. If these backups are so good, you would have never went out and got Josh Dobbs in the first place. So, again, you didn't miss a whole lot in terms of a barn burner. It was only field goals for the Chicago Bears, and for the Vikings, just 1 touchdown. Okay. We've got to get to Deion Sanders and what's been going on with the Colorado program. Now, because they ended the season, Perloff, on a real downswing with all of those losses, not bowl eligible, well, things are going, it seems like, from bad to worse, which is on top of the losing, on top of an injury to Shedeur Sanders, which we'll talk about in a moment, their star quarterback, they've also been the victim of decommit after decommit after decommit. So in the last 2 days alone, if you've noticed, this has been popping up on your phones and stuff like that, the last 2 days alone, the Buffaloes have lost 2 quarterback commitments in 2 days. One for the 2024 class, one for the 2025 class. On top of that, an offensive lineman who was a very highly rated offensive lineman, also decommitted. Talon Chandler, that was it. We have a running back who is now decommitted, and also a wide receiver who is now decommitted. So there's just been a lot of things kind of falling apart a little bit for the Buffaloes here at the end of this season.
Yeah, I'm not worried at all because, first of all, the quarterback situation, Shedeur is coming back. So I think quarterbacks are going to look at that and say, well, I'm going to have to wait a year anyway. But they could look at the top 10 teams. It's all transfer quarterbacks. There's no way any incoming freshman in Colorado is waiting around long enough to be the quarterback in the first place. So that does not concern me.
Okay. The one of the quarterbacks that they lost was for the 2025 class. So admittedly, you're going to have to wait for it for a second. But he was the third highest rated quarterback in that class. I mean, these are the kids who are going to Alabama and Ohio State and the massive program, Oklahoma, the massive programs are getting these great quarterbacks. And that kid decommitted. Now he said, maybe it's not done yet. Maybe I'll end up going back to Colorado. But I'm just telling from an optics point of view, you might say there's decommits all over the place.
There are.
This is, I think, something where a lot of this is based on Deion's reputation to bring in people who want to play for him, okay? It turns out maybe it's not that simple. So let's hear from Deion Sanders, because I think he's understanding now his celebrity and what he's building at Colorado may not be enough. It's going to take more things. It's going to take money.
We're getting there. We definitely need giving. You know what I mean? It's unfortunate to say this, but some kids cost. It's unfortunate to say this, and if you, I have not charted this yet, but I've asked for the numbers. But if you start thinking about the top several teams in the country, let's see what was spent on assembling the teams. You know, we can sit up and talk about great coaching and great this and great that all we want, but it's gonna be a credit card swipe some kind of way with all these guys going to these playoffs, right? Right. And I understand that.
Okay, so that was Deion yesterday. Now let's rewind to, 7 days ago when Deion said this.
We're not an ATM. That's not going to happen here. If you come to Colorado to play football for me and the Colorado Buffaloes because you really want to play football and receive a wonderful education, and all the business stuff is going to be handled on the back end if that's the case. But we are not an ATM. You're not coming here to get rich unless you really come here with a plan to go to the NFL and get your degree.
Man, life comes at you fast. That was literally a week ago. And now you have decommit after decommit after decommit. And I think Deion is singing a different tune now. Hey, it's going to take money, which we knew. We know it takes money now.
But it is consistent. At least he's admitting this is going to cost a lot of money. So he's obviously aware of this money issue. I still think, first of all, I think everyone got too excited about Colorado too early. Give him 3 years if he wants it, which is a long thing, to build a team kind of the old-fashioned way. Do these decommits really make you panic? Aren't they just going to go, especially at the talent positions, anybody's going to want to go there and get some huge ad deal. He's basically putting all his skill position players in national ads. There's that almond ad with the running back. There's his kids on Wendy's. I think that he's still going to get that kind of guy. I am worried about the offensive line.
Well, and I wonder if you can't get the offensive lineman, which can be also very tough to get in the transfer portal. That is not an easy. It's just like offensive linemen in free agency. It's really hard to get them in free agency as well, really good ones, because teams don't let go of them and they will pay them whatever. So I think teams are seeing how the season ended, and Deion is so associated with being a winner and a Hall of Famer and talks a big game and all of the flash and the glamour and glitz. And if you're getting your ass kicked, that's not that glamorous. And I think that now kids today, for as much as Deion probably resonates with them and certainly their parents and stuff like that, if you're not the cool thing right now, you might not be the cool thing. I'm not saying Deion can't get back to that or that, he doesn't have gravitas. Of course he does. But at the same time, you end the season on a losing streak and Shedeur Sanders is out here with a fractured back because he took 52 sacks this season, then that doesn't sound that fun or appealing.
I hear what you guys are saying, but I think that was unrealistic to see that they beat TCU, Nebraska, and Colorado State.
Yeah.
Did you think that recruits are that naive that they thought, oh, this is a national title contender? I know the media was that naive, but I think inside the football industry, they had to know what they were getting. They had to know it was going to take a little time to build both lines, the offensive and defensive line. I would think they'd be savvy enough to do that. It does seem like there is a fascination for being a wide receiver at Colorado. Or I do think that Deion has made this sort of attraction on the wings there because he has Travis Hunter. He has just a lot of talent on the perimeters of his offense.
Okay, but if Shedeur's not there and these quarterbacks are decommitting because the line stinks, then...
But they'll just get a transfer.
Okay, but again, we're talking about the news cycle of who's committing and decommitting.
Right.
That might end up changing.
That's all going to change in a week when the transfer portal really gets going.
Okay, but if I'm a good quarterback in the transfer portal, I don't want to go to Colorado if they can't fix the line.
I do because I get a lot of national ads. I'll be on a Dr. Pepper ad, for God's sake.
But I'll also be in traction maybe because I'm going to have a fractured back potentially.
You're in the Big 12. No one's hurting you in the Big 12.
But I don't think you can ignore the issues in the recruiting because this is not an Alabama or an Ohio State or a Michigan where you have so much depth where you could just lose decommit and say, okay, we'll get the transfer. I mean, how many transfers do normal teams get? Colorado just recently tried to overhaul the whole team, but typically, 10, 5 guys? You're not talking about building a whole roster, which is what Primary tried to do.
Well, he's going to try and do it again, though. Why not just do it again?
He just won 4 games this year. If he tries to do this again, he's going to fail every single time.
But I think it didn't work because he didn't really have time. If he does 2 or 3 huge classes like that and gets to coach them up a little bit, I think that it's just going to get better and better. And the schedule is going to get easier and easier.
But what's been the issue? It's been injuries because they don't have depth. So when a couple guys get hurt, your top transfers get hurt. Maybe you do get a 5-star transfer, a guy who went somewhere, didn't like it, and then comes here, okay, he's a 5-star. Okay, well, if he gets hurt, or maybe it's not even the receiver or the quarterback. Maybe it's just the offensive lineman that gets hurt that then hurts his production. They're 13th in the Big 12 in recruiting this year.
But let me ask you a question.
Terrible.
Let me ask you a question. They have a lot of guys from last year's transfer portal. Aren't a lot of those guys still going to be there, or not that many are leaving? I don't know.
Christian Fourier's son just announced that he's transferred. He doesn't play a lot. But Christian Fourier, of course, is a legend in Colorado. But yeah, they're going to have guys also hit the portal, and Deion had talked about that as well.
Right, but if they bring in another 60-man transfer portal class, I think they can build depth that way to some extent. I mean, listen, they're not going to go to 11-0 after 2 years of gutting a one-win team. But I think they can build some depth with the transfer portal.
So you're basically saying that the transfer portal now is going to be your new recruiting. So instead out of high school, you're just recruiting out of the transfer portal, and those guys stick around. But, first of all, you're kind of relying on some mercenary type guys, right? Like that's the appeal.
No, I don't think it's mercenary anymore because everybody's in the transfer portal. The entire sport is.
But to your point, I don't know if it's sustainable because you are getting generally an older player. Right?
Which is a quarterback is great.
Quarterback is fine.
I mean, there's no doubt it's the solution at quarterback. Look at the Heisman finalists: Bo Nix, Michael Penix, and Jaden Daniels, 3 big-time transfers.
Oh, definitely. But I think, if you're talking about skill position players, you probably want, the Jordan Addison model, right? Where you get the guy on the last, his last season in college football.
That'd be great.
Okay, but it's not sustainable, right?
Why? Just get another Jordan Addison.
I know, but that's the point, right? It's like Deion already did this once where he flipped the whole roster.
Yeah, flip it again.
But he lost the last 6 games.
Of course he did.
They're not bowl eligible.
He took over a horrible team. I think give him some time. I think it's going to get better.
But Andrew, at what point do you end up saying, okay, we can flip this roster over and over every year, but at a certain point, this is not college basketball.
But I think he keeps a lot of the guys from last year. I think he brought in his own class last year, and I think it's just going to get incrementally better like programs do. I just think everyone saw Deion and said, well, if it's not 11-2 in 2 years, then it's a failure. So he's going to slowly, if he wants to stay there, he could slowly build a program.
So do you think that he can survive having outside top 50 classes in recruiting in terms of high school?
I do
every year, and he can compete for a national championship. That sounds very impossible to me.
Well, I think
Georgia, Ohio State, Florida State, Alabama, and Florida. Those are the top 5 for this upcoming season. Besides Florida, all those other teams are playoff contenders.
I think he can, within 3 years, be the Oklahoma of this conference, where he makes a lot of playoff trips by beating up on not the best conference in the world. Because listen, the Big 12 does not have Oklahoma and Texas anymore.
That's true.
He's going to have a real opportunity to make some playoff runs in the next 5 years. And I do think, he's losing some of these decommits. Let's see who he gets. I think you're just looking at the negative right now.
That might be true because that's the headline right now, right? The decommits are far outweighing the commits at this point. The commits is what was happening in August and September when the program had a lot of heat around it. And there's windows for this type of thing, but had a lot of heat around it. And now you're seeing the decommits right after they finish the season on a 6-game losing streak. So I think there's 2 other things here. What's the real goal? Is the real goal for Deion to win a national championship, or is the real goal to have a relevant program and show that you can consistently win at this level, right?
Well,
those are 2 different things.
But making the playoffs gives you at least a shot, right? And I think he's going to make the playoffs if he stays there.
12-team playoff next year.
Or is it not like the Final Four where just making it? If you're in the 12-team tournament, you can win a title. And I think that he's going to make this tournament.
Yeah, I think with the 12-team, we're going to end up having the haves and the have-nots anyway, right?
Within the 12 teams.
Yes, within the 12 teams.
Maybe, but it's not 64 teams. It's 12 teams. Anything can happen.
The other thing about this is when it comes to quarterback, if I'm Shador and I have a fractured back because I was sacked 52 times, why am I sticking around Colorado for another year? I'm sorry. Someone's going to have to explain this to me because I can go to the NFL and I can start the clock ticking on, if I'm good enough, a contract that could pay me $200 million guaranteed, or I can stick around and do, a Icy Hot commercial. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, what's he going to make next year? This year. Look at the ads he got this year, and they kind of started late. I mean, he's going to make a lot of money. He's on my TV all the time.
The valuation for him was between $5 and $10 million this year for what he.
It's amazing,
and I assume next year it will go up incrementally because Colorado's getting a lot of prime time.
He's got the the dance or the watch thing. He's already he's already made his made his mark.
He's got more national ads than almost any NFL quarterback now.
I know, but it's not $200 million, which is the pot of gold, which is waiting there if you are Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes.
But listen, he's smart. He's going to look at this class and say, I want to be in next year's class. Why would he want to go with this class of Drake May and Caleb Williams and Penix and Nix? And next year, there's basically next to nobody.
I know, but I don't want to get sacked 50 more times. I don't want to waste these reps in college when I could, and especially if we're looking at Colorado and they're not going to be a national title contender next year. We don't think that, right? We're talking about baby steps. It took over 111 teams.
First of all, he did improve.
He did improve.
We're not talking about Alabama. This is Colorado.
I get it, but it's like, are you a national title contender next year? Maybe you are. I don't know.
No, not next year.
Right. So Shador's not staying for 3 more years. He can't. So what are you sticking around for?
You're sticking around because you're getting a ton of money and you'll get a much higher draft pick. He could be a second or third rounder this year, where next year he's top 10. So I think that's what Deion said, the same thing. He said, I don't want to go in the same draft with Caleb Williams. I want to be a number 1 overall guy.
I know, but
and he's not that old. He's only 21.
If I get my back hurt again, I don't know if anyone's taking me.
And honestly, it might be a little delusional to think that if they have this kind of roster, or that Deion Sanders can flip this over and that his son will definitely be number 1 next year.
Well, but he's got a way better shot next year.
Better shot for sure. But
if you're a second round quarterback and don't play next year, you could be headed towards a $15 million NFL career. Second rounders usually don't hit.
Well, you could be Jalen Hurts, too. I know that's a specific...
Yeah, you could be Brock Purdy in the 7th round.
Miracles happen. I get it. We have a Colorado alum working right here on this show.
Yeah.
Andrew Kaplan, who says, EJ gets it. You can't keep building like this.
Can't keep building like this. Where were you before? What was Colorado 3 years ago?
No, Colorado also had terrible recruiting classes back then, too, which is why I'm saying I totally expected every high school kid to see The Rock, to see Lil Wayne, to see 2 Chainz, see all these guys showing up to the game saying, wow, I want to be there. In fact, they did. That's why you saw all these big-time recruits committing to them early in the season. And then now we've downgraded. Now we're seeing, Jaquise, and now we're seeing the, kind of D-list celebrity showing up. You don't see The Rock there anymore. And I think that there is a correlation to people being like, oh, really? Is that really the cool place? Also, Deion saying this isn't an ATM. There is got to be a correlation to him saying there's not an ATM and then 5 guys decommitted. Come on.
And then a week later, he's like, actually, we're going to need more money.
Get that credit card ready.
He said you're going to be swiping.
I don't understand.
Swiping credit cards.
Aren't you guys, and I'm going to say you too, Maggie, and I don't remember. Aren't you the guys who are ready to hand that crystal trophy to Deion after he beat Nebraska?
I was.
Nebraska?
Yeah. I was.
And don't you think maybe that you're coming down a little too harshly on him now? Maybe there's a middle road where he is a normal coach and...
Doesn't seem likely.
No, I think that, again, Colorado was such a hot moment at the time. And
because of the media, but in reality, that was a totally unfair expectation.
No, I think it's unfair to say it's the media only because they were playing an exciting brand of football. It wasn't just that they were winning those games. It was they were scoring 50 points. It was that they were throwing the ball down the field.
Yeah, but if Deion wasn't there and they were any other coach on earth, nobody would have paid attention to that. It was because of Deion.
To EJ's point, it wasn't the media who brought The Rock there. That was invited guests of Colorado. That was leading into the celebrity.
That's all Deion.
But I thought that was smart of him to do that because game day was there and all this stuff. You're going to use whatever tools are at your disposal. And I think what Deion is learning now after 6 straight losses to end the season is the tool at your disposal is money. And that's the same tool that everyone has. So in reality, where your celebrity only gets you so far, I think, in this day and age.
But he will get you ads in a way that other programs can, and I'm sure he's using that.
But and that's true to a certain extent. But
it's unparalleled. He's got more ads. He's got more national ads than any program except for maybe Caleb Williams at USC.
Okay, but here's the thing. That gets some of his players paid and gets him paid.
Yeah, it gets the skill guys paid.
Okay, so you need linemen. Who's going to pay those people?
I totally understand. So you guys are so feast and famine with this program. There's a possibility of a middle road where next year they go from 4 wins to 7 wins. The year after that, they go to 9 wins and then 11 wins. I think you're giving up on a program that you loved way too early. And also, too, every 18-year-old is decommitting everywhere now. Every top recruit is jumping out of their program. Everyone's now committing to 4 different schools. It's a kind of a joke.
Well, here's the other thing. You're saying give it 3 to 5 years. Is Deion there in 3 to 5 years?
I do admit that might be a flaw.
3 to 5 yeyears is eternity. Did Deion even stay at any of his NFL teams for 5 years?
Or baseball teams. I don't think
Was
so.
he on the Cowboys for 5 straight seasons? Maybe he was, actually.
He might have been a Brave for 5 years.
Maybe. 855-212-4CBS. But obviously, he made a lot of money being a free agent. 855-212-4227. You're welcome to weigh in on this Deion situation. Also, coming up, it was one of the biggest stories of the fall. And now has it just gone away? We're going to get to the bottom of it next. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
We're back on Maggie and Perloff. I'm sorry because this is so annoying, but I am really stuck on something that happened earlier in the show today.
What?
It's really bothering me.
Oh my gosh, you've been holding it in this whole time?
No, I haven't because I expressed it before.
Oh.
New Jersey is part of the New York area. And you guys who are saying there's a huge distinction, it's the New York Giants and they play in New Jersey. It's not the New Jersey Giants. So if a player is from Northern Jersey, he is a New York City area basketball player or football player. And this is
you realize how out of left field this feels.
This disgusts me, by the way.
Why does that disgust you? I generally, this applies to a lot of different metropolitan areas around the country. Just because you cross over a state line, you're still from the same city. If you're from Kansas City, it doesn't matter to me if you're from the Kansas side or the Missouri side.
Did you watch the Showtime documentary in Point Gods that Kevin Durant did with Rich Kleiman?
No, absolutely not.
I did not, but it sounds fun.
Outstanding
Really?
documentary. It was about New York City point guards.
Yeah.
Okay.
Watch that documentary and talk about the pride that New York City basketball players have, and you telling New York City basketball players that Jersey is also a part of them.
But was Kyrie in the
sickening.
documentary?
He's in it, but he's not a feature.
Yes, he's in it because he's basically a New York area point guard.
No, he's in it because his dad's from New York. His dad's from the Bronx.
I just wonder if this is the same for other places. Like we're talking about Los Angeles, from Atlanta, these other big metropolitan areas. Can you claim all suburbs?
Trevor
right?
Lawrence is not from Atlanta, but everyone says he's an Atlanta area quarterback, right?
Well, and
he's from Cartersville or something. I can't even remember.
Right. That's Atlanta.
We talked about Aaron Rodgers.
I think it's a pretty far ride from Atlanta.
Is Aaron Rodgers from the Bay Area? Guys from Dallas who are from maybe the outskirts of Dallas.
Texas is the hardest one
because Houston just goes on forever.
Yeah,
Houston
is Texas
never
A&M
ends.
part of Texas A&M College Station is now a suburb of Houston. It never was in the past. So I think this is an important topic.
It's ludicrous to me. Look again. It's someone who played high school basketball here in New York City. Played against some players that have been in the NBA or in the NBA, and the pride that New York City basketball players have with being from New York, to say that Karl Anthony Towns and Kyrie Irving and some of these guys are New York City basketball players is insane. We could not stand New Jersey basketball players. It was a rivalry. Whenever we played New Jersey schools, they had the biggest chip on their shoulder because everybody talks about the New York guys. Everybody loved the New York guys.
Well,
you cannot compare it to Atlanta or Houston. It is not the same.
Can we talk about the real reason this came up? Because Mike Trout is a famous Eagles fan. He's from Vineland, New Jersey, which is southern Jersey. It's a 20-minute drive from the heart of Philadelphia. And he's at all the Eagles games, and now the Phillies desperately want to sign him and bring him home. They're not the New Jersey Phillies. They're the Philadelphia Phillies. So therefore, he's a Philadelphia player. So let's bring him home, baby.
Well, Spike Eskin, who was here, who's also a Philadelphian, agreed with me, a take I had weeks ago, that Mike Trout ain't really Philly because he's from Jersey. He's from a different state.
Nobody cares about Mike Trout no matter where he plays. Hasn't that become abundantly clear? This dude could play on the moon. Nobody gives a crap.
Well, I wonder if he goes to a different team, will he become a thing?
I mean, I'm hoping so with Shohei. But Shohei is a different type of appeal.
Yeah, Shohei, people care. You're right. People do care about Shohei. Is Mike Trout so boring that he can be boring anywhere? That's a great question for this offseason.
I mean, I think we already know the answer to it. It's
the most exciting thing about Mike Trout is when he shows up at the Eagles game. It's like, wow, that guy really cares about winning. You never see it in Anaheim. Anyway, sorry.
Let's get to Maze and Clue, please.
I got a one-track mind. I'm not going to be speculating. Can let others speculate that.
It's time for Maze and Clue.
Yes, only the most fun scandal that we've had in a long time, because scandals aren't generally fun. which is the Connor Stallions sign-stealing scandal
Great
that has
fun.
led to Jim Harbaugh suspension for the last 3 regular season games of the season. Now, Ohio State lost the game. Michigan moves on. They're going to likely beat Iowa and go to the college football playoff. And is this thing just over now? Like, is it dead? This is where Ryan Day really had an opportunity to beat Michigan, and at the time when they were, in theory, at their lowest point, to throw cold water on the whole thing, the whole past 2 years, and they just couldn't do it. Sorry, Ohio State fans. It was a missed opportunity. And now I think this scandal's just poof, gone.
Because it was the dumbest, most overblown scandal we've seen in college football in 30 years. It was so... First of all, it wasn't Michigan. It wasn't Jim Harbaugh, and some random program had been stealing signs. We wouldn't have cared at all. In fact, they probably are, and we're not even noticing. I think people are taking a minor infraction and blowing it up because they secretly hate Michigan and think that, quote-unquote, Michigan men are full of it.
Well, I mean... spot the lie. But here's the thing.
I know. Actually, as I said that, I'm like, yeah, actually, that's a good point.
So not only is Jim Harbaugh maybe, kind of won this round, if you will. I think Michigan clearly moves on. Now Jim Harbaugh has the audacity to basically throw cold water on the entire Michigan-Ohio State rivalry. I told you guys I thought he was going to the NFL. Now I'm damn near certain of it. Because I can't imagine why a guy whose team has just beaten the other team 3 years in a row would say things like this.
A lot of that seems very, very built up from outside of the two programs. I'm not going to go as far as to say contrived, but I mean, it is hyped up. I mean, hyped up to ends of no ends.
What?
I mean, that's obvious.
Excuse me? But you don't...
I mean, the TV, ESPN treated it like it was World War II coming into that game.
Well, I mean, come on. I mean, the thing is you're on top of the rivalry now. To undercut it makes no sense to me. Let's hear more.
These are student athletes they're young kids, young adults that are playing this game, and all we ask them to do is go out there and play their very best. So to answer your question, I think that is very manufactured for the TV show that people want to watch and see.
Why is he saying this? Like this, I don't understand the timing unless he's planning on leaving, I guess. And it's like, hey, this wasn't even that important to me anyway, or this is all contrived and for TV, and you guys are just pawns and you're buying into this. I don't get it.
Well, I think he's saying it for one reason. It's absolutely true, and it's almost somewhat obvious.
Well, why didn't he say it the week leading up to the game? Why are you going to say it the week after? Because you're complicit in the hyping of this. I know he wasn't on the sideline because he was suspended, but you hype this. He had a question in the week leading up to the game. He had a question that asked about, do the coaches, even though this is such a big rivalry, do the coaches have a mutual respect for one another? And he would not say a kind word about Ryan Day. Couldn't do it. Sidestep the question, could not just say, and I respect that coach. Like, you play into this rivalry too.
He's got to recruit against the dude. But the funny thing, though, about Jim Harbaugh, I think he's embraced this new truth-telling thing. I think this whole scandal made him realize that it was a scandal that was made for TV. And I think that realization hit him hard this week, that this whole thing was basically, if Michigan wasn't so high profile, they never would have gotten busted in the first place. So I think he's realized like all this hype around it is somewhat ridiculous. I think he's just telling the truth because Jim Harbaugh's got a little Aaron Rodgers in him now. He's making jokes.
Mushrooms?
He's kind of like Joe Rogan. And he's just sort of like a truth seeker now where he's saying all these things about chickens and whatnot. I think... You don't agree, by the way, that the Michigan-Ohio State rivalry is a bit of a TV product? I mean, I think that is... To me, that's fairly obvious.
Okay, well then that's why other rivalries should be able to supplant this as the big rivalry. Because if this is just a TV product, well, I don't think the Iron Bowl is just a TV product. And I don't think the Civil War is just a TV product. And I don't think the Apple Cup is a TV product. I think these are genuine rivalries.
You're still holding on to that argument?
I He has.
Just how hard you're trying to convince yourself
About the Iron Bowl?
No, it is the best rivalry, but the way the
Army
TV
Navy is not a TV product.
the way the TV takes Michigan Ohio State and spends so much energy on it, I can understand why there would be a backlash because they were treating this particular game. This was the game of the century, and because of Michigan Ohio State and because they were both top 5. But I think that ESPN ran a little hard this year.
I don't understand this. I think Harbaugh is just being super weird right now.
Well, that's true as well.
But no, he's always
That's
at a certain.
That's a normal Tuesday for him.
I know he's always had a certain brand of weird, but it's getting something's afoot, and I think it's that he's going to be going to.
Yeah, but he wanted to go the last 2 years. I think he's so unpredictable that this could mean he'll stay because he couldn't even get Minnesota over Kevin O'Connell, and look what's happening there. So I'm not sure the NFL wants him right now.
Andrew Bogusch is here with headlines. Good morning.
Good morning again, guys. The Bears had the lead late in Minnesota on Monday Night Football thanks to 3 field goals and 4 Josh Dobbs interceptions, but 1 Justin Fields fumble put them in a 10-9 hole. They survived a second Justin Fields fumble and won. Head coach Matt Eberflus tells you exactly how.
Good complementary football, 3 and out by the defense, and then taking it down there, the 2-minute drive to set us into field goal range. And then kneeling, and then making them use their timeouts, and then kicking it for the winner.
Kneel, timeout, kick it for the winner.
Play-by-play.
And the
Not good at that
Vikings lost
either.
to him.
Yeah, the winner was Cairo Santos' 4th field goal of the night, a 30-yarder
log.
with 10 seconds left. The 12-10 final ends Chicago's 12-game divisional losing streak. They had also dropped 6 in a row to the Vikings. Those 4 picks give Dobbs 8 turnovers in 4 games with Minnesota. So head coach Kevin O'Connell has a decision to make.
We're going to take a look, really evaluate, the inventory of plays now we have of Josh. We got healthy. We got Jaron back, available to us, and then Nick Mullins is available as well.
Yeah, that's Jaron Hall and Nick Mullins now on the table in Minnesota.
How dare they move off of Josh Dobbs this quickly?
Now you're defending him. Earlier in the show, you were quite critical.
I just said something that's true, which is his story is better than his play.
I thought Jets fans were mad that he didn't come in and save the day.
Oh, he could have still done that.
That performance still would have been better than what Josh, Zach Wilson,
Tim Boyle. What are you,
guy was
crazy?
doing.
He looks like Steve Young compared
I love
to Tim
that Jaron Hall, a 4th-round kid out of BYU, is now the option.
Boyle. New savior. What was his major?
By the way, Josh Dobbs had no prayer last night. I don't know how, but the Bears' defense was on him in 2 seconds every time he dropped back.
It's true.
The loss, though, does not cost Minnesota a playoff spot for now. They have the last wildcard spot at 6-6, a half game better than 3 other clubs. There are no playoff chances in New England, which is why we're still wondering about Bill Belichick's future. Recent whispers said he had his next job in mind already. Bill was asked about that on local radio yesterday.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Can you ever imagine yourself coaching anywhere else?
I'm just trying to do the best job I can right now. Obviously need to do better.
Can we get Grandpa some hot cocoa or something? I mean, come on. That's ridiculous.
But electric blankets.
He was like that after winning 2 Super Bowls.
I know.
I mean, what difference is it now than before?
He's old enough to be a grandpa now.
Yeah, true.
That's fair.
He had a grandpa personality when he was 45, though.
True.
And the look. I think that. See,
I think he's telling the truth. I think that he does not have a job lined up, and I think
he's telling the truth too.
Yeah, I don't think he's as desired as people think.
Yeah, because he's a 70-year-old coach with 2 wins and 10 losses.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Why would the Chargers go that direction, for example?
Have you seen what's going on with the Chargers?
They need time to rebuild. You need a team that's ready to win, and you're hearing Washington and the Chargers for Belichick.
The Chargers,
neither of those teams are ready to win.
Well, the Chargers are a top-heavy. They have a lot of big names who are getting paid a lot. Like, unless you're going to sell off those pieces bit by bit, why would you do that with Justin Herbert?
I just think that's a fallacy. The Chargers thinking that's a good roster. I see what you're saying, but I don't think there's a perfect spot for Belichick. And also, I'm a little different. I'm not 100% done on him in New England. I think there's always a chance that they keep him because it is, it's not easy to hire the replacement for Bill Belichick. Who wants that job?
well, tons of people, but also when Bogus just said, get Grandpa some hot cocoa and keeping him around. Now, there is another read here, EJ. I get what you're saying that he may not know. Let's not forget, like, Belichick resigned from the HC, the NYJ in one day, not to bring up old stuff, and had that Patriots job in the bag. He's done this before where he's had his next thing lined up while his current thing was going on. Now, that was a little different. There was an ownership change in the Jets. Nobody cares about the Jets' history, but that's a little bit different. But he's looking out for number one, I can see.
Takes two to tango, though. You would need another team, another owner to say, that's my guy. I don't know anybody who watches Mac Jones or Bailey Zappi play football be like, I want him developing my next young quarterback.
It's the reputation. It's the reputation.
Exactly, because how many dumb owners hire dumb head coaches? Yeah. They're going to fall over themselves to make Bill Belichick their head coach.
I think at least
really
two or three owners are going to do that.
He turned 72 in April. Yeah, I mean, I don't mean to be ageist, but like, you need
still
a 5-year.
Carroll.
You need a 5 to 10 year run with a coach. Bill Belichick's got to build a culture there.
Here's the other thing: there are some jobs that aren't open yet that could essentially use Bill Belichick. I'll give you an example: Dallas, right?
That's not
That's
opening.
the one job I think he should take.
If Dallas falters in the first round, they could say, Jerry Jones. He could say, "Hey,
we got the team all ready.
Yep. 2 years of Belichick, and then a coach in waiting." They could do it.
Do you think Parcells would put in a good word for Belichick?
Yeah, Jerry Jones.
The hatchet?
Jerry Jones didn't want Jimmy Johnson around. You think he wanted Belichick stealing his thunder?
Yeah, but he had Parcells there.
He did do a little Parcells, and then since Parcells, he's hired basically nobody. Belichick the Cowboys have the highest flying offense in the league. You want to bring Bill Belichick in there?
Well, to their point, it's like you don't really have to do too much. It doesn't take a lot of tinkering. Bogus, what else you got, sir?
I've got some angry basketball fans in LA, misbehaving ones. So Maggie, turn your mic off here just for safety.
I was one of those fans.
30 seconds left in a 113-104 Clipper loss to the Nuggets. We had Russell Westbrook stopping playing to yell back and forth at a fan sitting near courtside. A ref got Westbrook away then, but he returned at the final buzzer, and the arguing continued.
Just unfortunate fans think they can get away with saying anything, and I won't allow it. I've took a lot of, people saying anything and, getting away with it, but I won't stand for it.
Has he taken a lot, though? I think he calls out fans pretty much whenever they say anything.
He is the all-time leader in yelling into the stands.
Enough of this guy, man.
Well,
Enough.
I mean, here's the thing, and I'm not going to say, like, you deserve it or you should be called names, but, like, Westbrook is not that big of an insult when you think of the grand scheme of insults.
Yeah.
Right? Is that me? Am I being cold-hearted?
No, not at all. And I think that, like, I understand Westbrook. He definitely gets more abuse than other players, and it's unfortunate.
Easy target.
And the fans need to stop, and these fans are getting out of control. But Russell Westbrook wants to fight every single time somebody says something crossing the line. Like, there's no reason why you can't just grab a security guard, say, hey, get that guy out of there.
He does that too.
Right, but a lot of these times,
he
had the Suns in the Suns playoff game. He's in the tunnel, and then he just walked away from the tunnel and into the serving area where people were eating food and was like, yo, you want to go? You want to fight? And it's like, enough, Russ. Like, come on. Like, okay, you take a lot of stuff. That's unfortunate. You blame the Laker fans for being too harsh. Now you're the Clippers. Now the Clippers fans are getting on you. What do you want at this point?
Well, you think about it. The three people in the NBA who complain the most about the fans are Russell Westbrook, Kyrie Irving, and James Harden. What do all three have in common? They're gigantic losers. I'm sorry. It speaks to that character. Like, they're excuse guys. Kyrie, yeah, I know. But regardless,
the other guys, definitely.
You don't think Kyrie is such a loser? I'm sorry. And when he talks to the fans, that's the same thing that when he screws over a franchise. It's poor me, Kyrie.
No, you're right about that. He's another one. Yeah, it's too much. He didn't win championships. I just want to put that respect on his name.
No, you're right. And
it's the same thing.
By the way, all three very talented players, but they seem to fight with the fans and they fight with their organization. It seems consistent to me.
It's crazy.
Let me get this in hockey real quick. The Panthers a 5-0 rout of the Senators last night. Feelings were hurt late in the game. All 10 guys on the ice get into a little mini brawl, so a lot to sort out for referee Garrett Rank.
Every player on the ice has a 10-minute misconduct among other penalties.
Everybody gets at least 10 minutes. If my math is correct, it ended up being 13 penalties, 106 minutes spread across those 10 skaters.
It's amazing.
Among other penalties. I've never heard that. That's great.
Sit in the stands to serve it.
Yeah, it's just so funny to me. It's like this is like the opposite of everyone gets a trophy. It's
Right.
Like, now we're in a culture where everybody gets a penalty.
I'm done now.
Thank you, Andrew Bogish. Appreciate that. Coming up, a lot more to do, including the one person who's feeling a little nervous today. Get to that in a minute. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio. Got into a big discussion about Deion Sanders. Several decommits happening over the last 24 to 48 hours. Perloff, they've lost 2 quarterbacks. One committed for 2024, one for 2025. They lost a running back. They've lost an offensive lineman. That was a couple weeks ago. Nate in Ohio is on the horn, wants to talk about it. Good morning, Nate. How are you?
Morning. Hey, guys. Yeah, no, and I'm not in Ohio. I'm in Iowa, so that's
Iowa.
okay.
Okay. Good morning.
No, hey, but no, I was good morning as well. I was at that Vikings and Chicago game last night too, and I thought I'd wandered into an Iowa Hawkeyes game last night. But
yeah, the final score kind of looked like an Iowa game for sure.
It did, but no, I wanted to jump in and chat on this here with the recruitment leaving Colorado. I think this is kind of, when I look at this, I mean, Deion has came in with such hype on him. You know, he brings Shador over with him. He brought Travis Hunter over with him.
Yep.
And that's great, but I think that, you know, you got these, to put it mildly, I think Breece Hall and Brock Purdy said it best a few years ago when they beat Texas down at Texas. It's 5-star attitude versus 5-star talent. And give me the 3-star kid or 2-star kid that wants to come in and wants to work, will come into that program even despite all the struggles that they're having, and he's going to work to make that program better. If you have 4 or 5-star kids decommitting just because you're losing, do you really want that kind of attitude on your team? I mean, that's just, you know, that's not just in football, that's in life in general. You don't just want to, you don't just walk away from a bad situation. If you can make it better and make that program better, I think that's worth having something like that on your program.
Sorry, go ahead.
And then I was going to add one more thing too with the Michigan and Ohio State rivalry. Jim Harbaugh right now is probably what's keeping that thing together, because you just don't have the other attitude on the other side of the coin like Urban Meyer was a few years ago, where those two did have this disdain for one another. Ryan Day doesn't have that kind of feel to him, whereas, you know, it was like 2 heavyweight bouts going at one another when Urban and Jim were at it.
Yeah, Nate, thank you so much. So you're saying Jim Harbaugh downplaying the Michigan-Ohio State rivalry is kind of like, in some ways, a little bit of a disrespect, kind of backhanded to Ryan Day. Like, hey, we've won 3 in a row. Like, this rivalry is now overhyped. I don't want to put words in Nate's mouth, but something like that.
I mean, how I feel is, I think Jim Harbaugh is just saying the truth. Back to one point he said about getting 3-star recruits instead of 5-star recruits. That works in basketball. The thing that will kill a program faster than anything is having one-and-dones in your program. Then you watch Villanova have mid-level talent. Maybe there's something to that. Maybe you don't want all these 5-star guys who are going to leave the second they don't get enough targets.
Yeah, I still think that people are looking for the money, though. Like, even if you're 3-star, 4-star, 5-star, I think people want to get paid. Let's hit our shot of the day.
He shoots!
The shot of the day is brought to you by Casamigos Tequila. Casamigos is brought to you by those who drink it. People like me. Today's shot of the day, well, I didn't realize there are some things you cannot say on the radio.
I've never heard Shaq Lawson or Jordan Phillips or any of these guys say anything about whenever people complain about the Bills fans.
What, about throwing on the field? That bothers you, EJ?
I mean,
does that offend you? Can I say
base.
that on the air?
Nope.
Oh, you dumped it. Okay.
Nobody heard it.
Sex toy. This is from like a decade ago. This one would not hold up today in the Me Too era. Instead of JETS, jets. I don't know if I can say this. I think I can.
Oh.
Pete's shaking his head.
Oh, now I got to hear it.
You probably can't, but go ahead.
All right.
Yeah.
I can't say that one. I got dumped again.
2.
Twice on my own show.
Yes. In one segment.
Nice. There you go.
That was such a long bleep.
You really extended the spelling, so the bleep had to extend as well.
You guys are just doing your job. I didn't realize I couldn't say those two words. I know now, and I apologize.
And now you know you can't spell them either.
I can't say them, and I can't spell them.
I can't say anything like Spanish or anything.
Yeah, I'm going to say it in French next time. No one's even going to know.
Can you say the first letter? Yeah, you can say the first letter.
Of which word? I think even that's a no-no.
We're going to get the end of the show dumped here. Waiting for these 30 seconds.
Well, you told
by.
our boss. You actually went on and told your boss, yeah, I said a 4-letter word about a woman's body part. And I swear he was about to fire you on the spot.
Yeah, meanwhile, if you missed it, Spike Eskin, our boss, came in and demanded that not only I pay off my end of the bargain on the bet, Perloff has to, and for some reason, EJ now has to. Pete got spared because he rightly dumped me cursing twice this morning.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Pete. Thank you, Weedos. Thank you, coffee drinkers, callers, Kaplan, Bogish. Yeah.
You're in a 5-minute break.